everyone, and welcome to Draft Day. Another draft, another month. We're coming off the heels of Pride weekend, and we are in Pride month still. So it's a Pride draft. We're drafting gay films, lesbian films, bisexual films, transsexual films, transgender films, all the films under the Pride banner. We are going to be drafting. We have a pretty awesome panel to talk about all the cinema. So without further ado, let's start introducing them. First off, a host of the channel. You've seen him on almost every draft day. It is Mr. Matty Fresh. How's it going, Matt?
I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. I've got my list is way too long. I'm hoping you guys knock some of these off.
Yeah. I thought about adding extra rounds, but I'm like, you know what? The spirit of the show, keep it 25. It makes it more competitive. Makes it, we have to keep the game of this and the strategy, but it is definitely difficult. Another guest introducing, you've seen him when we talked about another Pride film last year on Framewreck. Actually, we talked about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. He's done a few drafts since. We're proud to welcome back Chris Baker Scott. How's it going, Chris?
It's going great. I'm super excited for the draft. I feel like I have a pretty good comprehensive list. So we'll see.
Awesome. Love it. Also returning to draft day, I believe this is her second draft ever. We have Karly. How's it going, Karly?
I'm good. I've had my last day of school on Friday, so I am free for the summer and excited to talk about some very gay films.
Yeah, what a great way to kick off your teacher summer break. I love that. And last but not least, his first appearance on draft day, I believe his second appearance on the channel. You last saw him on the subathon. It is Daniel. Daniel, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm here to lose, unless you guys steal my number one, in which case I'll kick your ass.
We're coming from all points of the world, all around the world, to bring this draft to you, and I'm very fortunate that it worked out for all of us because we are in 4 different time zones recording this. But Pride, it exceeds all time zones. It exceeds all boundaries, and to celebrate it, I do have a little surprise. 1, 2, 3, boom! There we go. We got a flag now.
Very nice.
Yeah, you gotta set the ambiance. I'm an ally, so I can do as much as I can to help and make this as festive as possible. It was a great Pride weekend. It started raining in the middle of the parade yesterday, but that didn't stop everyone else from partying hard. So it was a lot of fun, and now we're here to talk about Pride films. I'll get to the rules right now. The rules for this draft day, there will be 5 rounds total. Random draft order will be selected by a wheel, which I have ready to go to spin. The draft is snaked, meaning whoever has the 5th pick in the first round will have the first pick in the second round, and so on and so forth. For this particular draft, you can draft whatever films you want. We're not living by binaries today. As long as it has a significant enough LGBTQ plus themes or characters or storylines, or they're made by filmmakers who are out, or they are just queer films. Sometimes that can fit into another umbrella that I didn't list. If anyone disagrees, though, with the eligibility of a pick, which is fair, I mean, we all make mistakes sometimes, we can veto the pick, but you need at least 3 of the other 4 people to veto as well. So if one person disagrees, that won't be enough. You need 3 of the other panelists to disagree with you. Please do not mention or discuss films until they are drafted. For example, if there's a film that is comparable to another film that is drafted, someone else might want to draft it later. So let's not tip picks, just to keep it more exciting and to not give away any strategies. Because maybe some of y'all thought of better films than I did, and maybe I will steal your pick if you say it early. And you don't want that, even though I won't do that because I already have a long enough list as is. So let's get to it. We got the wheel here.
I need the first pick. Come on, Dyl. Come on.
Let me I'm tapping it. Hold on.
Oh, that just means it's me.
No, that means it's frozen, but give me a sec. It's funny because Daniel sent me a frozen GIF when he was ready for the draft. He's like, I'm ready, and it was a picture of Elsa. All right.
Sure.
I might have to pull this up online.
He did it.
Then.
He broke it.
It literally is broken. So I'm gonna try to get it up online and do it really quick this way.
One thing I'm excited about for this is that I have a really long list, but going through looking at other movies that would be eligible, there's so many out there, and I'm really hoping some of you shoot me some good recommendations.
So with the pitch for this, Dylan, there he is. Dylan said, you usually have interesting ideas, which I take to mean ones that no one else will pick. So none of my,
I do think it will
3
be
of mine you might
different type of draft. So all the names are going to be lowercase. There aren't any fancy colors. I was trying to make everyone a different color, but they only give you 4 default ones. So it is what it is. Let me share this. There we go. Do you all see the wheel?
I do.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, first pick. If it
No
lands
way.
on you, you necessarily have to be the first pick of the draft, but you get to pick your spot in the draft order.
Rigged.
Literally, somebody type it up.
The only straight person, of course.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I know.
All right, y'all.
boo.
All right, y'all. Well, guess what? I will let you all go first. I will go last. Okay, I'm gonna go fifth in the order. Let you all have the first 4 picks there. It's just a matter of who's gonna be number 1, or number 2, or 3, or 4. Matt, look at you, Matt. Do you want the first overall pick?
I do want first overall pick.
All right. Congratulations.
There's one I need, and I need Karly. Oh, by the way, Karly, there's a comedy. I'm not going to say its name. That if I get to the 3rd round and you haven't picked it, I'm taking it. I don't usually put a clock on a movie.
I think I know which movie you're talking
All right,
about.
Daniel, you are the next. Do you want to go 2nd, 3rd, or 4th today?
I'll go 3rd.
3rd, so right in the middle. Interesting draft strategy. All right, so it's between Chris and Karly for the 2nd and 4th spots, and looks like it's gonna be Chris. Chris, would you like the 2nd pick or the 4th pick?
I will go second.
Chris will go 2nd. All right, I believe that's where we are now in this order. Yup. Oh wait, nope, that rearranged. There we go. All right, so that's your order. Starting with Matt, Chris, Daniel, Karly, and then rounding out with me, and then we'll go backwards and forwards, top and bottom. All right, round 1, pick 1. Matty Fresh, you are first on the clock. There's no clock, there's no time limit. But what is going to be your first pick in the Pride draft?
All right. I really wanted to go first because there's one that to me is the greatest queer movie ever made. Like it's one of the it's not just that, it's one of the greatest movies ever made, and I know some of you really like this movie. It came out just a couple years ago. The same year another movie that is one of the greatest movies of all time came out, and it wasn't nominated for an Oscar because France put in a worse movie. My dogs are fighting right now as I'm trying to say this. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is my number 1 overall pick. I just absolutely adore this movie. Yes, exactly. I can watch it. I can watch it as many times. Like I could finish the movie and restart it. I love that movie so much. The final shot in that movie, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it right now. Good Lord, my dog.
He agrees, or she agrees. They agree.
It's the young boy dog. I only have one boy dog, and he's feisty. He's new. Anyway, hush. The final shot of that movie is one of the best closing shots in any movie ever. And it's so simple that and it conveys so much emotion with 0 dialogue, with really nothing much happening on the screen. It tells the entire story, everything you need to know about the characters, everything. I'm not going to spoil anything. If you haven't seen it, go watch that movie.
It's funny you said final shot, but it's like there's a final shot and then there's a final shot, and both endings are so good. Like there's that one flash. I don't want to say any details, but like there's one moment where you think that's the ending, and you're like, oh, what a genius ending shot. And then there's another scene after that, and that has the shot you were mentioning. I'm like, wow, like to do that twice is freaking amazing. It's an incredible movie. I agree. Karly, you drafted this for our women's draft,
yes.
correct? So do you want to say anything?
Yes, it was much lower on my list because I drafted it, and I wanted to give someone else a chance to take it, and I was pretty sure someone would take it. But I've talked about it before. It's like a gorgeous film, and it's beautiful, it's stunning, it's really fantastic. So I'm glad Matt got it, and I'm really glad he didn't get a different film that I thought he might steal from me. So
still some heavy hitters out there.
There's still time.
Chris, have you seen this one?
Actually, I haven't.
Chris.
It's been on my list. It has been on my list, though, I will admit. But I might have to after this discussion.
There you go. Daniel, have you seen this one?
I have. Karly actually kept banging on about it, so I was like, I better watch this. And I don't love it as much as literally everyone else does, but it's really pretty. And I'm a cinematography and score nerd, so I'm like, yes, presentation.
Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous. The titular shot, the portrait of the lady on fire, or the fire stuff in it is gorgeous. Yeah, just the way it's lit and shot, and it's like I want to go on and on, but Chris hasn't seen it, and we only have 24 picks left, so we can't spend an hour talking about it. But like, so good. I mean, Matt, great pick. All right, so Chris, you are getting your first pick now in the first round. What would you like?
Okay, I'm going to start it off with some fun. I'm going to go ahead and pick But I'm a Cheerleader.
Nice.
Very fun
Didn't
movie.
even make it to the third round.
That was the one.
There's no way. I felt like that was going to get snatched up very quickly. No, but Jamie Babbitt as the director, amazing, lesbian director. We've got Clea Duvall, RuPaul, Natasha Lyonne, not a lesbian, but like just come on. No, and just visually looks great. Like it hammers home the just gender binary of things that they're trying to teach these gay kids. Just how they're so split and separate. The boys, like everything they handle, it's blue. The girls handle everything pink. It's a great movie, and it's just funny, and it's just fun.
Yeah. I actually watched this for the first time last night. So like I watched it because I was like, I know someone's gonna bring it up. I figured it would be Matt or Karly, but I forgot Chris. This is definitely your cup of tea as well. Like I'm like, oh, this is such a Chris movie too. I was like, it's gonna be brought up, and I don't even know if Daniel you've seen it either. But like I was
it's
a big
not
fan.
Streaming.
Oh, yeah,
it's not streaming anywhere. It's not even streaming on YouTube where I cheat. And
it
find
is in
everything.
the US, but I imagine not where you are.
Boo! Get worldwide streaming rights for "But I'm a Cheerleader." But yeah, it's interesting because like you said, Natasha Lyonne's not gay, but like I grew up, or not grew up, because this is gonna sound awful if I say grew up, but I remember watching Orange Is the New Black when it came out, and watching that and then watching this, I was shocked to learn she wasn't. But some people have a typecast, and some people do it respectfully and do it well. So
she has the spirit of a lesbian, and that's just true. I love Natasha Lyonne. This is not really for this draft, but I have long said that I wish she had been cast instead of Juliette Lewis in Yellow Jackets. She would have been way better at that role. Anyway.
You're actually not. I've never thought about that, but you're not wrong.
Anyway, that's not the point. I love this movie. I remember seeing it back when it came out, and I don't think I appreciated it as much because I was fairly conservative back then. But I rewatched it this year, and oh God, I love this movie. It's so it's like got this absurd surrealist thing to it, but I don't think anybody on this panel is going to disagree with this statement, but I hate conversion camps. The idea, it's appalling.
Not a controversial statement, Matt.
Not a controversial statement. No. No, but just the idea of it, like it boils my blood, and I think that this movie perfectly demonstrated what's wrong with conversion camps while also just being really silly and fun. There's so much about it I love. RuPaul is so good in this. And as the macho male camp leader who used to be gay. I don't know. I love so much about it. I love that they give that one of their deterrents is a shock treatment that they give to the girls that is obviously just a vibrator for them. I love just so much about this movie. And yes, this was the one that if Karly hadn't snatched it up by round 3, I was going to take it. So I'm sorry for Karly that she didn't get it.
Karly, would you have snatched it up? And what are your thoughts, Karly? Would you have snatched it?
I would have. It would have been my number 2 pick after something else. I love this film so much. I remember I saw it when I was younger, when I didn't really know what conversion therapy was or anything, and I thought it was a little weird, but I still like really liked it, even though I didn't completely grasp like all the themes. And like on my rewatch, I just love it even more. When I was doing research on like But I'm a Cheerleader and everything that makes it great. Part of the reason that the director Jamie Babbitt wanted to make it is she wanted to make like a kind of like a gay Clueless essentially, and this is kind of what came out of it. It toes the line between the satire and the like horrors of conversion therapy so well. Like it's like it doesn't shy away from how messed up that is, but it's also like makes you laugh. and doesn't make you kind of just get crushed over the depression of it. It's so genuine. I won't spoil the ending, but every time I watch the ending, it just melts my heart. Like, I go from just, having general fun to just, trying not to cry at the end because it's so beautiful and sweet. It was truly ahead of its time. Like, I love it. I love it so much. It's definitely would have been my number 2 pick.
I agree with the ahead of its time part. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to point out one more thing, and that's maybe this won't land with anybody else on the panel, maybe Chris, but that Bull from Night Court is a big gay dude in this movie,
Yeah.
and that makes me happy when I when I think about it. But that's not important either. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say it's ahead of its time. Like, I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes after. I try not to live by Rotten Tomatoes, but it's interesting to look at what the consensus was at the time, and it was like badly rated. I was like, what? But I think it only goes to show like certain films hit certain audiences later than initial release. And I have a film that I hopefully will get. I don't know if Karly or Daniel is going to take it from me, but kind of a very similar idea of a film that like got panned, but then has like kind of been reappraised since. So, Daniel, I will throw it over to you. You are next up. What would you like as your first pick in this draft?
Okay. Now, do you guys like Twilight, but you wish that Bella Swan was played by Brad Pitt? I certainly do. So I'm going to pick Interview with the Vampire.
Okay.
Nice.
Interview with the Vampire, the very, very, very good movie where there's a love triangle between Almond, played by Antonio Banderas, Tom Cruise plays Lestat, and Brad Pitt plays Louis, the girl that they're fighting over. And just in case you thought that it was subtle, there's then the books, which make it much more obvious. In the sequel, in the book, the vampire Lestat is like, I don't know why I was being coy. It was totally into me. It's great.
It's not,
and that just makes it gayer. It was awesome.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on it?
Yeah,
I saw it, but I don't remember it. Well, I need to do a rewatch because it's been.
So the context for Interview with the Vampire is that vampires are like the sexy foreign dude that comes in and is like having sex with all our women, and it's like, oh no, we don't like having sex with women, we're straight. So then like they're like, vampires come in and then you'll get a disease or something if you have sex with foreign guys. Then Interview with the Vampire came out and it's like, no, it's hot though. It's really hot. And so we just have all of these pan-romantic, asexual people, vampires that were just like dating each other. And it was really cool. And Tom Cruise is the best. He's just like, fucking love killing people and eating, having sex with Louis.
Was Interview with the Vampire on anyone else's list, or any thoughts on it?
It was not on mine.
It was
not on mine.
I have it on the list simply so it could be an honorable mention, and really that was more cheeky than anything. I think it's a good pick, and I think it belongs on the list. But it was sort of on my list.
Nice. Any other thoughts? Cool.
I love that you picked one that's like more subtext, like, because all the ones in my film are very, very gay. So I love that we're kind of representing different types of queer films. Like, I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's gone on to take so much different meaning, as the years have gone on and things have been more accepting. And then we like look back on certain films, we're like, oh wait, yeah, that was like way gayer than it was advertised or explicit to be. You know what I mean? So Daniel, I knew you would come with some picks like that, so that's good. All right, Karly, what do you want for your first pick?
I'm so happy that my pick was not taken. Because I was so worried that it would be, and it was like for sure my number 1 pick. So the film that I'm picking will be La La Land. Wait, sorry, no, Moonlight. It's Moonlight. Sorry. Did not mean to flub that, guys. I don't know what I was thinking. That's part of why I was very happy no one else took it, because I thought of that bit last night, and I was very excited.
I do appreciate a good bit.
I mean, La La Land, like you could make a case.
You could make
for
a case.
sure.
You couldn't.
It's, I mean, it's gayer than some movies. I'll give you that.
Because it's a musical.
Exactly.
It's a musical. Yes. Okay. Just Moonlight. Oh God, it's just such a beautiful film. I remember very well that Oscars night. I did not really watch the Oscars back then, but I did keep track of like what won what. And I remember being very upset when La La Land won. And then I remember being very overjoyed when it, was corrected. It was like, oh no, Moonlight actually won. Like, it just made me so incredibly happy that that could happen, that a gay film could win Best Picture. And just on top of that, it's just a fantastic film. Like Mahershala Ali is amazing in it, and I've been obsessed with him ever since. It won quite a few, and like picture, supporting actor, screenplay, and it had a lot of nominations. It's just a beautiful film. Like, I like how it is tragic, but not barrier gaze. Like, it really toes that line really well. And I like how it really focuses on Chiron's. Chiron, I haven't watched it in a while. Chiron, I think. Chiron? Was it Chiron?
Little. They call him Little.
Little.
He actually has a different nickname in each section.
Yeah, I really love how it splits it up like that, and how you see just the different phases of his life, and just how he comes to terms with accepting himself. It's just a beautiful scene, a beautiful movie, and that scene on the beach, I really love that scene. And I kind of like that it pissed people off so much that they left the theater. Like, good.
Did it really? Oh, wow.
So I know some people have reported that that scene happened, and some people left the theater, and it's like, good. I'm glad it made you uncomfortable. I'm glad you left if it wasn't going to be the movie for you. Yeah, like, I could just talk about this movie for hours and hours, but yes, I love it, and it was by far my number one pick for this draft.
Nice. Chris and I live in Oklahoma, so the fact that people walked out of the theater during that scene does not surprise us at all. I will say this. Okay, that is on my list, and it is fairly high on my list. And I love that bit, Karly. And what I love also is that I was going to do the same bit if I had gotten to me. So that's really great. But I saw this movie blind. Like, I knew I had heard good things about it, and that's my favorite way to see a movie. I don't see a trailer, don't read anything about it. Just hear people, like, hear that there's buzz and watch it. And I watched this movie blind. So I didn't really know what to expect, except I had heard Mahershala Ali was really good at it. So, and he was incredible. So the beach scene was a surprise to me when it did happen. And it it does this interesting thing where on rewatch, it's a little bit more obvious, but that scene or that portion kind of unlocks what the movie is about, which is being a young gay man within the Black community, not respected by much of society, including people within your own section of society. Like, there is a beautiful message within that, and just kind of watching how his life turns out. It's a really great film, and I really enjoy it. I really ended up loving it. I will say on that Oscar night, I was watching on DVR because and I was behind because that's what happens when you have children. And I was watching on DVR and I was behind, and I saw on like Facebook and Twitter, people were like, what the heck? But I didn't really know what was going on. I just saw people going, what the heck? And so I put my phone down. I was like, oh, I want to see what this thing is that happens. And then La La Land wins. And I was like, I know, right? What the heck, right? And then it happened. And I was like, oh, that's why everybody was so weirded out about it. And I was very happy as well when the guy came up and very sadly told us that his movie did not win. Yeah, I like this movie.
He like walked up, he's like, and we lost, but we're like very casual, nonchalantly. And then the other guy like takes the envelope. He's like, no, you guys won. Like, rips it out of Warren Beatty's hands. I did feel bad for Warren Beatty, but it's not his moment.
It wasn't his fault either. He was given
phase.
He was given the actor. No, he was given the best actress ballot. envelope. And
Yeah, it
so
said
when
Emma
they
Stone.
opened it up, it said Emma Stone, La La Land, and he was confused and handed it to her, and she looked down and saw La La Land. So it wasn't
So
it wasn't either of
it's
their
not
fault.
even either of their faults. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's more so hers than his. Like I don't know why they're mad at
that's
Warren
true.
Beatty. I was like, if anyway, Faye's only read the name. Chris, any thoughts on Moonlight?
Oh no, great film. I do want to touch on one thing that it does really well is it doesn't like stick with just pure tragedy like all the way through. Like, I mean, of course there has to be, some drama, but it's kind of like Karly mentioned, it's not in that bury your gaze situation, which we kind of get a lot of that.
For sure.
A little bit less nowadays, but
yeah. Daniel, any thoughts on Moonlight?
I quite like Moonlight. I saw it because of the controversy of what happened at the Oscars. Because because I was like, what? How did that happen? And then I looked, and then I started checking out Moonlight, and I saw it, and I'm like, this is very good. I'm glad it won. I saw that the poster had bylighting. So I was into there was another movie that did that. And so I was interested in watching it for that reason. And then I saw it, and then that got me into like queer cinema in general.
Wow. There you go.
Nice.
It's a great gateway.
It was great.
Cool. All right. So moving on to me. This is tough because like Moonlight was definitely in like my top 5. Portrait was in my top 5, but I'm a Cheerleader was in my top 5. So like I'm going for now the one that like I feel like is most representative of like where I kind of like was most immersed with like queerness and like a lot of my friends and that's a theater community. I am very involved in theater, and I feel like it would be a great homage to pick this as my number 1. It's very gay. It's got everything. It's got transgender themes, gay themes, lesbian themes, bisexual themes. It is a musical, so let's do the Time Warp, baby. I'm talking about Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I mean, almost made my list.
It encompasses everything under the umbrella, and it feels like one of those things that like you can enjoy even if you're not gay. You can enjoy if you are, and anyone can enjoy it, but there's still like a trashiness to it that I love. There's like a very raw, like low budget kind of nature to it, but it still looks elaborate all at once as well. The music is awesome. The performances are great. Tim Curry. I like it on stage and on screen, and I love when they kind of like do both, where they like lip sync along the movie and do a little performance of it. My favorite 2012 film is Perks of Being a Wallflower, which has a great homage to that as well. I just love it. It's not my favorite movie on my list. Like I think there are movies I would give higher ratings to, but I think in terms of this draft and what I wanted to represent is like my first pick, being a theater nerd and being someone who has seen this so many times and has so many friends who have been, this has been so fundamental to them. I was like, you know what? I got to go with Rocky Horror. And I feel like if it didn't get picked, which it sounds like it would have, but I'm glad I could at least make it happen in the first round too. So it's like right up there on top. But any thoughts on Rocky Horror? Matt, you look like
it would have been picked in round 2, just so you know.
All right, there you go.
It was my next pick. I saw this movie for the first time my senior year of high school. I was my girlfriend at the time, we went to different schools. It was her prom, and my best friend, actually it was the year after. It was not my senior year of high school. It was the year after my senior year of high school, because my best friend, his girlfriend also went they went to the same high school, but we were both out of high school. And so we went to the prom with them, and then we went back to his girlfriend's house, and we watched Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that was the first time I had ever seen it. And it was incredible, and I've watched it many, many times since then. I've watched some of the live stage performances of it. It is so ahead of its time in all respects, and although I think there are aspects of it that don't age well, I think that it remains almost taboo today, which is something that I really like about it, is that you would not show this movie to your grandma despite how old it is. It is considered a classic, but you wouldn't watch it with your grandma, most people.
Yeah.
And I love that about it. Tim Curry is incredible in this movie. The guy who plays Riff Raff is in Dungeons and Dragons, which we talked about last month on Framewreck.
Yeah.
damn it, Janet, I really love this movie, and it was my next pick. So
There you go. Any other thoughts on Rocky Horror?
It's been a musical that I've really liked. I think I actually have the soundtrack somewhere back here. But yeah, I remember, I think I saw it my junior year of high school. First time I'd ever experienced like a musical as fun as that and just kind of bonkers. And kind of to build off on what Matt was saying, I think as the way the culture is moving now, it is gonna kind of turn back around to being something that's super subversive because we've got like pseudo trans issues there, and at minimum like cross dressing. So, and also just sexual fluidity. So yeah, I mean, I think it does hold up and it stands the test of time.
Cool. Yeah. Daniel, any thoughts?
So this is, if I wanted to win, I would have made this my number one. This is a brilliant movie. And when I was in primary school, I did dancing as part of PE, and we learnt the Time Warp, which is the only it's the least sexual song in the entire thing. And I just love the fact that it's about two straight people. That's like, man, I'm glad that we're straight and can get married, and I hope nothing gay happens on the road trip. And then they're like, man, this is way better. I know we're not bringing up movies, but have you guys seen the sequel?
I have not. Is it good?
Shock Treatment. We had it at my video store, but I never watched it.
It is I watched it one time.
It's more self-aware and less fun.
There you go. So it probably won't be drafted, I'm assuming. But I'm glad to hear that, though, Daniel, that you would have picked it if you wanted to win. And I'm not. And no one here is trying to win necessarily because it's such like a personal draft. But it's good to know. Karly, any thoughts on Rocky Horror? Have you seen it?
I have seen it. It was a while ago. I think it was when I was a freshman in college. I saw it. I saw it at college in our little auditorium, and it was fun. You know, I just love the communal aspect of it more than anything. Like I haven't really rewatched it since then, so I don't really remember a lot about it. But I do remember it being very fun and very out there. And I'm more than anything, I'm just happy it exists.
Just a little PS on this. My Chris and I have a mutual friend, Mark. He went to a local screening of this movie at a local art house, Circle Cinema. And when he got here, they handed him a bag full of stuff. And he sent me a picture, and he was like, "What do I do with this?" I was like, "Oh, you don't know?" And I got to delight in texting him. Well, when they do a toast, you have to throw that bread. And then when they do this, you have to do this. And I got to tell him all of the little things that you do when you're at a screening of it. But I've never experienced it. I've never been to one of those screenings, but I know exactly what you're supposed to do with everything. So hopefully one day I'll get to do that.
Yeah. It used to be like a huge thing in New York, but like I think since COVID, they've been cutting down on screenings. But it definitely happens a lot during Halloween. And then they used to do that for the Room too. Just this is when you throw this, and this is when it's awesome.
I've been to one of those for the Room actually. Our cinema that Matt was just talking about. Circle Cinema. It was actually pretty fun. Like people got into it. At the time, I was a little bit kind of like not really getting into it because I thought, oh, it's a bad movie already. Just sit and enjoy it. Like, there's more to be bad. But I learned to have fun with it.
Yeah, it's an experience nonetheless. Daniel, what were you going to say?
If you want to explore the film history, William Bibiani and Whitney Seibold on their critically acclaimed network have episode 0. Which they did for Star Wars, and then they did it for Rocky Horror. Cool. They just go through like a bunch of movies that Rocky Horror references, like Rope, which and a bunch of others, and it's well worth looking into.
Cool. Yeah, episode 0. That's great. I listened to the Star Wars series, so I got to listen to the Rocky Horror. So it's up to me again because we're going now snaked. We're going back. I'm going to pick this next one. This is the one I was alluding to earlier where it didn't get good reviews, but then like with time has become like a cult classic in a very short period of time. But it's also in like retribution to myself for not picking it on the women draft day just because there were so many great options there. But I'm like, you know what? It's one of my favorite horror movies. I gotta go with Jennifer's Body. I know that's like Rocky Horror might have won me the draft, and then I might have just lost it right now with Jennifer's Body because it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a little trashy, but like I think that's the charm of it. It's very B movie. It is self-aware of it, so it's not like one of those so bad it's good movies, but it's campy and self-aware in a way that I still really enjoy. The horror itself is really good. A lot of fun over the top stuff, and the actual like queer themes are really interesting too. Just kind of making it another element of the story without making it the story, which I really like. But yeah, Megan Fox, I think it's the best performance she's ever given. Amanda Seyfried, she's done great things since, so I don't want to say it's the best she's ever given, but their chemistry is so good. Really iconic moments, really iconic, like lustful, sensual scenes as well that have held up well. So yeah, I love the film. I've only seen it a few times because I like it so much. I don't want to ruin it. But I feel like every time I watch it, I like it even more. So it's a personal pick, but that's what we're here to do. So Jennifer's Body, that's my second pick. I love it.
Diablo Cody's follow-up to Juno. Honestly, I don't know why people don't. I don't understand the negatives people find in this movie. I think it's delightful. It's well written, and like I said, Diablo Cody, she's one of the best writers in my opinion out there.
Her nephew went to my college. We're friends.
Oh, nice.
I do have a theory. I think that people just sometimes usually don't like camp or movies that are generally silly.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's they don't understand that it's self-aware, or maybe it's just
they don't want to have fun.
Maybe they expect their horror to be a little bit more serious or their comedy to be a little bit less serious, and maybe that's possibly what it is as well. Which I mean, we see that and that happens a lot with movies. That's why cult classics exist. But this was, I think, such a mainstream movie that it gets kind of, especially like I said, because it was her follow-up to Juno. And
Megan Fox too. Like I think people had a negative connotation with her.
Yeah, and so I think that maybe I think if it had come out post Happy Death Day in the freaky era, this would have done a lot better than it.
This is a good double feature with Happy Death Day.
Oh yeah.
Karly, did he steal this from you?
No, this was not on my list. I do really like it. I really like Jennifer's Body. It just wasn't quite on that same level for me as the other ones that I really wanted. But it is great. I love Megan Fox. I love when she gets to do comedy because from what I've seen, she's pretty funny when she does try to lean into that. Because I've heard I haven't seen New Girl, but I've heard.
I love her on New Girl. People are like, that's
great.
The worst stretch ever. And I'm like, listen, if your lead is going to jury duty and you need to get a replacement that's the complete opposite of Zooey Deschanel, you go Megan Fox, and it's a perfect choice because Zooey Deschanel is like cute, bubbly, whereas Megan Fox is like kind of like more, not bland, but she's a little bit more, mysterious. Like it's a very different vibe. So I love her in New Girl. So
yeah, I think she gets a bad rap. I'd love to see her in more stuff. I love Megan Fox. I think she's bisexual or pansexual as well. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
which helps in the movie.
It's great seeing her. Like I'm always very happy when queer actors or actresses get to be queer on screen. It makes me very excited whenever I learn that.
While I don't think that Megan Fox is an exceptional actress, I do think she's much better than she gets credit for. Similar to like Kristen Stewart, I think when she is not being hired simply to bend over a car, she's a lot better. Like when you give her something to work with, she can work with it, and that's
and this film still allows her to be like sexy, but in a way that actually makes sense with the story and works for the themes and works in this whole like villainous, seductionist type thing, without feeling like she's being used for that only, which is what you just said, Matt. So that's great. Chris, I know you're a horror fan. Are you a fan of this one? Have you seen this one?
Very much so. I love this movie. It almost made my list, just not quite. And mostly I love it because of how Megan Fox is great with comedy in this. Like, she's just really good. And it also has a really great cast. J.K. Simmons in it. Not in it for very much screen time, but he's still there and is funny when he's there. Oh my God, I'm trying to think.
Isn't Chris Pratt in this too? I think he gets
he
killed,
is
right? Early on.
Very early. Delightful. I think he dies in the fire. And also, I cannot for the life of me. Amy Sedaris, she's also in it.
Yes.
And I love her. I will typically watch her in a lot of things, but overall, I really like it.
There you go. All right, Karly. So I didn't steal your next pick, it looks like. So what is going to be your next pick here on the draft?
All right. I'm torn between two. I only have 3 of my top 5 left. And I think I'm going to pick the one that I believe is a little more well known. It's a little film by, I'm going to butcher this, Yorgos Lanthimos.
Okay.
It is The Favorite.
Yay!
I love this film so much. When I first watched this, I didn't really know who Yorgos Lanthimos was, and I found out after the fact, after I watched The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer, that it was by the same guy. And it's weird because it feels slightly different to me than his other films. Like, it doesn't feel extra weird. It feels more realistic almost.
I believe it's the first movie he directed that he didn't write. I think that might be why.
Oh,
and I think that's kind of nice too, because it allows someone else's voice to marry his. I think it might be like the second or third, but I know he didn't write it.
I would also say that it's because Yorgos Lanthimos characters all speak in a specific monotone way generally in their movies, and that was not present in this one, probably because they were British.
That's true too.
But yeah, so The Favorite, it's just so weird and gay and compelling, and I really love it. Like, it has such complicated and messy relationships between the main characters. Like, no one in this film is in the right or like even really a good person, and it's just, I love watching the different dynamics here between Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, who she is not gay, but she plays gay very well. She's very good at playing someone who's gay.
Yeah.
Yes,
We will not
Another
say
one that might show up here. Yeah.
yes, she's very talented at that. And there's that whole conversation of should straight actors play gay characters, and I personally fall on a more nuanced area for that, where like it's fine, it just adds more for me when it is played by a gay actor. But Rachel Weisz is very good at it, so I'm happy she can play all the gay characters she wants in my book. But it's just
gay actors play straight characters, so as long as it goes both ways, then it's fine.
Right? Yeah. I just love the performances. I love the dynamics. I love how manipulative everyone in that movie is. Like, it's very interesting to watch. I forgot to mention Olivia Colman. Of course, she won Best Actress for this, and she was fantastic. Like, it's just so good, and I love seeing a film with so many leading women, like, in positions of power, because you don't see that as much. And I think more than anything, I just love this film because it's a film, and the fact that it's gay on top of that just adds so much more depth for me. Like, I really, really like it.
First of all, I would like to say that as far as where I stand on if queer characters actors should play queer characters, I think most of the time probably, but as long as Rachel Weisz and Stanley Tucci still get to play gay characters, then I'm fine. Like, as long as they get a pass forever, I'm good. I will say this: the way this movie is shot is the cinematography in this movie almost like kind of does the opposite of the intent of what you would normally expect from it, which is that it makes certain aspects of the movie so unsettling in a way that maybe the rest of the movie doesn't. Close up on like the thick makeup and on everybody's faces, I could almost smell this movie. It feels like everything feels so dirty and like everybody seems like they need a bath. Which is good. I think that adds to kind of what's happening. Like, what I think that's intentional. I think that's what they're going for here. I think this is a brilliant movie. It's actually not up. It's shockingly not on my list. When you said that, I was like, oh my God, how is this not on my list? It should have been. It's a great film that I really love, and Olivia Colman is God. So
yeah, amazing pick, Karly. It was on my list, lower on my list, only because there's so many films on my list. But Tony McNamara, who co-wrote it, is coming back to write his next film too. So that'll be interesting to see. Just because, I do think Yorgos works best when he's working with someone else's script and he can just focus on direction than when he writes it. So I'm really excited for the next one because that is my favorite of his films as well. So nice pick. Chris, have you seen this one?
I haven't. It's another one that I've missed. For the longest time, it was on HBO, and I was kept meaning to check it out, and I just kept putting it off.
That's what they do.
But I
They-
need to
they-
change
they
it.
For
those
our
things
queen, Olivia Colman, bud. Come on.
Oh, I watched The Crown.
There you go. That's a queen, Olivia Colman. Yeah.
It's amazing that she played the queen in two things.
Yeah, and
That's a
she's
level
just
of
like our
typecast that I
queen in general,
respect.
in a metaphorical sense. She's a queen. Daniel, have you seen this one?
I have. I actually saw my next pick, and then I loved Emma Stone, so I saw The Favorite like right after.
Oh,
Soon as
interesting.
I was like, I'm like going deep into her filmography.
Nice. Well, so you don't have to keep it a secret what it is. I can pull up your next pick. Your pick is up now, so why don't you share what that film is?
Battle of the Sexes.
Oh, very nice.
Ooh.
Battle of the
okay.
Sexes is, without question, a fine movie. But I was depressed, closeted, and had no friends and no prospects. I saw this movie that was just about this this queer character that was doing that did something brilliant and historically significant, not for queer people but for women in general. So so that got me like out of my funk, and then just put me on the path that allowed me to be happier, lose like 40 kilograms, and all of this other shit that I've been doing for the last like 3 years was started because I watched that movie.
Nice. Congratulations. That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's a
so it was
great
all of that, and the movie is also fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's got great performances in it. I love the directors who did it. They did Little Miss Sunshine, so I'm a big fan of their work. And you know, it's funny because we just got a trailer. I don't know if you guys got it over there, Daniel, but for Challengers, the new Luca Guadagnino film, and it like gives me like Battle of the Sexes vibes if it was like directed by Paul Feig, like very
Oh, nice.
like Simple Favor meets almost like Hitchcockian. I don't know. I'm very excited. I love tennis, or at least tennis movies, and I love, you know, kind of queer, like love triangle or like romantic stories. So like, I'm gonna be a big fan of that, I know, and I'm a big fan of that one. That's a great one. Any other
I
thoughts
also
on Battle of the Sexes? Oh yeah, Daniel.
I also like that the gay best friend, Alan Cummings, is the gay best friend of another gay character.
Yes, Alan Cummings, a great gay icon as well. Any other thoughts on Battle of the Sexes? Matt, Karly, Chris?
Oh, good pick.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, interesting, cool.
I've seen it. I really loved it a lot. I'm always a big sports film fan. I don't like most sports, but I love sports films. And it's just a great film. I didn't even think about it. Like when I was looking up top gay films, it didn't pop up on most lists. But Emma Stone, another great actress at playing gay as well. She's done it a few times. But yeah, it's just fantastic. Like it's another one of those stories where first you come up with the story and then it's just, oh, they just happen to be gay. And yeah, I really like that one.
Cool. All right, Chris, you're up next on the clock. What would you like for your second pick?
Okay, I'm going to move into documentary territory, and I'm going to pick Paris is Burning.
Cool. I've never seen
Directed
this one. Tell me
by,
about it.
amazing. It's directed by lesbian director Jenny Livingston, and I think it came out in 1990, but it was just her chronicling the world of ball culture in New York, just underground gay Black bars where they would put on these big fantastic competitions of walking and showing off their great either walks or voguing and all of that good stuff, and it focused heavily on Black trans women in the culture of the time, kind of escaping through these competitions and also finding found family through these different collective houses that they competed in. Highly recommend it if no one has seen it. It to me is something that's more valuable than, I mean, I know, okay, the show Pose on FX.
I was about to say, I was about to ask you if you've seen Pose, yeah.
And I haven't finished it. I have one season left. I kind of just stopped watching it, but no hatred towards the show, but it definitely does feel like it comes from a white gaze, if that makes sense. Like it's not kind of...
It's very Ryan Murphy.
It's very Ryan Murphy, yes. I can talk
It is.
at length about how I have issues with Ryan Murphy on this subject. But highly recommend Paris is Burning because it gives you that insight into, of the time, what it was, what the culture was. and how it was to just survive by, being yourself in that culture.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen Pose and I liked it, but I agree. Like, there's something missing in terms of authenticity to where, like,
Yes.
I just added Paris is Burning my watch list because I'm so excited to check this out now. Cool. Anyone else seen this one?
I haven't. It's been on my watch list for a while. I just haven't had a chance to watch it.
It's been on my
I
watch
can't
list as well, but
recommend
I need to be in a specific mood to watch documentaries.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
also pretty short. It looks like it's only like 71 minutes. Yeah, I'm watching this tonight. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, when you
Great.
said you had a documentary, I thought you were going to mention another one, which might be on
You
my
never know.
list.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool pick because also, like, yeah, like it's as authentic as you can get. It's a documentary. It's like real life, you know. And I mean, that sounded dumb coming out of my mouth. Like, of course it is. But you know, I like that when you can get like a really authentic portrait of something.
And just in the time we're dealing with, a lot of, in the States, anti-trans legislation and just sentiments. So it kind of just goes to show you that for the longest time, trans people have been just the most put upon, like, just throughout years, and it's continuing to happen, and it's just ramping up even higher now. So I don't know. I think it's now more than ever a good time to watch.
There you go. So Paris is Burning, and now we're going on to Matt, who's going to get 2 picks now. Matt, what would you like your second pick to be?
So I am picking most of my movies, or a bunch of my movies have been just butchered off my list by you guys. So there was one I was going to save until the end, but I no longer trust you people. So I am going to go ahead and choose Love, Simon as my round 2
Oh,
pick.
nice.
I adore this movie. When I first saw it, I was still in my closeted denial stage, which was most of my life. But I was like, wow, there's just something so relatable about this movie. For at the time, what I had said was an experience that is so unlike my own. Which on some levels that is true. I wasn't struggling with it in high school in the same way, like whether I should come out. I had buried it very, very deep and didn't want it to come out. But I did experience a lot of the bullying stuff with I wasn't interested in a lot of the same things that the other guys were interested in. Stuff I was interested in was not stuff the guys in my class were interested in. So there is a level to this that I do respond to, but regardless of whether it's relatable to me or not, there's something about I love coming of age movies. It's probably my favorite genre of movie, and this hits all the notes. It's funny. It's sad. There are moral dilemmas. There are the movies where the protagonist does bad things and you want to root for them even though you know that the thing that they're doing is wrong. I really dig those as well. So there's a lot going on in this movie that really hits for me, but when it comes down to it, it just makes me feel good. I suffer from severe anxiety. I have a lot of panic attacks, and just when I need to feel good, I'll pop this movie in, and it never fails to make me at least feel momentary comfort. So I really love this movie.
There you go. Any thoughts on Love, Simon?
I really dig this movie. I think that if I was 15 and I saw this, I would relate to it a lot more than I do now. My dad is exactly Simon's dad. He was like casually homophobic, but didn't realize that he was. And then I came out and then he did a 180 in like a day and a half.
Wow.
It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, the parent scenes in this are so good. Like Jennifer Garner and Josh Duhamel, like not who you would think of as like the soft, cuddly dad, but that's what makes it so good. Is when he has that like turn. The only thing is, and I did mention this to Daniel earlier, I just don't like Martin at all. Like Martin frustrates me, and I get that. That's like the point. Like for the story, it has to happen, but it's also like it's just so frustrating how much screen time they give him for how obnoxious he is in what he does. And it's not just his being and his personality; it's just like what he does bothers me. But again, it works in resolving the story. Obviously, you have to hit that low to then get to the high without spoiling what he does. But that's just always makes it harder for me to watch. But yeah, like all the reasons Matt mentioned are reasons why it's great. So it's an awesome pick, and I do think you should have picked it this early, because even if you would have gotten it later, like I still think it's a good like second round pick, because it is like the teen studio coming of age film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it deserves this high placement.
If I can speak for Martin for a moment,
Okay.
number one, and part of it is I really like that actor. I think the job he does is so good. I watched
Logan
the Escape
Miller,
Room. I watched Escape Room simply because he was in it, and I end up that's one of my guilty pleasure movies as well. I really love that movie, the Escape Room. But regardless, I think that there's something about Martin that's very, even though he's being duplicitous and that he's doing a very like he is awkward, and there's a lot about him that is very hard to watch. There is a sincerity about him that I really love, and that's another thing that I really love about this movie is all the different characters and how well drawn they are, and how well thought out they feel. Martin is annoying, but there's a couple of scenes like the one in the Waffle House where he's doing the thing, like dude has game. He just doesn't know he doesn't know how to use it right. Like he charmed him by himself in that Waffle House. And I think that's brilliant. There's that scene where Simon is going through his clothes, and he's like, well, we need to change this so that she'll like you. And he says, I don't want you to change me I want her to like me because of who I am. Like, that's something you don't get in these movies a lot. Usually that's the lesson at the end, but this character already knows that. Really dig. There's a nuance I really dig. So he does not get under my skin at all. I think that there's a value to him in this movie, but I definitely understand why he could turn people off to this movie.
Yeah, and it's really not until the ending when he does what he does at the climax too. Like I don't mind him in the Waffle House. Like the lead up, it's not as annoying. It's his decisions that he does in like Revenge. But that's
definitely.
Yeah, but that obviously has to happen for the story. So Daniel, what were you about to say?
And also his redemption, I don't think on reflection isn't as like fast as we think it is, because while he is redeemed, I think that Simon still is like annoyed and by him and doesn't generally forgive him. He's just trying. This is like the start of his redemption. He's trying his best to like make up for what he did. But Simon's still like, go away.
Yeah, it led to that other great thing when he's apologizing and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't think it would be a big deal. He's like, it is a big deal. I'm supposed to be able to decide this, and you took that away. Like that's a really great
It's
scene.
a good message to show to audiences too. Yeah, as frustrating as it is, it's like that's an important thing to tell people, because like, allies and friends, they think they can be helpful, but at times it's like, no, it's their life, it's their decision making. You can't dictate that for someone else. So that's a good point. Chris, any thoughts on Love, Simon?
Honestly, I think it's been covered. I thought going into it, honestly, that I wouldn't like the movie, but I ended up liking it, and not because of anything nefarious or anything. I just didn't think it would be my cup of tea, even though I like a lot of teen drama. But no, I ended up loving it.
Dude loves Degrassi like no other.
Oh, my favorite.
Honestly, white teenagers, I'm surprised you did not think you loved
I'm
this
telling
movie.
you.
Dude loves white teenagers.
It's insane.
If we drafted one episode as well, like Degrassi would be in contention, the Glee Rocky Horror episode would be in contention. Like there's a lot of good queer television too. Maybe next year. Karly, any thoughts on Love, Simon?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this film. His coming out scene when he comes out to his parents, and it just always makes me tear up. Like, just parents accepting their kids is a big thing that will always get a cry out of me. Like when his mom's saying that you can finally exhale, like you can finally be who you are with us. Like it really gets to me. I do think the book is better than the movie. So if you like the movie, I would check out the book. Like, because it's it does some things better in my opinion. Like the final confession, the final thing that Simon does to try to get blue it's different in the book in a good way, in my opinion. It's less showy, which I really liked, because like in the movie, he's kind of. I don't want to go into it, but I would just say check out the book. It's very good.
Nice.
And his Keenan Lonsdale, one of the actors in the film, he actually figured out he was bisexual while filming, which is really great. Because I knew him as bi from something else. So when I saw him in this, I got really excited. I was like, "Oh, is he the boyfriend?" And I won't spoil if he is or not, but yeah,
There you go.
yeah. It's
I had
delightful.
considered reading the book, but I also love this movie so much that I don't want anything to undo that. So
Right.
I have not.
Well, Matt, if you don't want to like read that coming of age queer book, perhaps I can interest you in Loveless, which is Love Simon but aromantic.
Oh,
Mm,
okay.
cool. Love the
It's
recommendation.
great. It covers everything from dating to going to your first pride.
Nice.
It's
nice.
pretty amazing.
Gay coming of age is my favorite book genre, so I will
Yep.
definitely be
There you
adding
go.
that.
All right, Matt, you get another pick now, back to back. What are you gonna snag from all of us?
Oof. This is so hard because I did not think this far ahead. Okay. There's a couple that I think are better movies, and there's some that I think that I might even like a little bit more. But being what this draft is, I think I'm going to have to go with The Birdcage.
Nice.
The American remake of La Cage aux Folles, which, oops, sorry, shouldn't have done that. Not allowed
It's
to
a
mention
remake.
things.
We'll let it slide.
Yeah,
We'll let it
yeah.
slide.
But having seen both, I think that The Birdcage, while I don't know, I would not say that's better than La Cage aux Folles. I do think that it does some things. It changes things while keeping them the same in a way that translates so well to an American audience. There's little things, and I know a lot of that's what you're supposed to be doing in that, but there's a lot of it that it's not just that the changes are well done; it's that they're perfectly executed, and improving this movie without making you compare it to, like, without diminishing the original at all. Like that, there's something about it. I saw this movie before I saw La Cage aux Folles, so I was able to see all of those places where they're the same and how they're different. I will say, as someone who loves Hank Azaria, that dude cannot stop playing characters who aren't white, because the character in La Cage aux Folles is a black character. Dude needs to, and I think he has stopped doing that. But I love Hank Azaria, but man, they need to stop casting him as non-white characters. But this is probably the first big gay movie I ever saw, because I come from conservative Oklahoma. I'm sure I had seen movies where there were gay characters in it, but this is the first like big, proud gay movie that wasn't that where the characters weren't side characters. It was about gay characters. And I really, really love this movie. It's very funny, and I revisit it quite often.
Nice. This is gonna sound crazy. I've never seen it, so I'm really excited to eventually. I know this is like the biggest blind spot ever. I've seen La Cage the musical, so like I know the story, but like wow, like I need to check this out finally.
As long as you've seen one version of this, then we'll forgive.
But it sounds
you.
like this is the best version, so I will say it.
Well,
they're so good. They're both so good. It's hard to even. Yeah. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the two different versions. Robin Williams' performance would not be nearly as good if he weren't emulating the performance of the character from La Cage aux Folles. Like, and there's so much in it that I couldn't say one is better than the other. This is probably the more palatable because it is American and it's as good. So it's easy to understand and is as good as the other one. So maybe it's a little more palatable, but they're both excellent movies.
I really like the movie. I remember watching it as a kid, and just a little personal thing, I always thought Robin Williams very hot in that movie. Don't know what it is. Actually, honestly, it's just my type. I'm not even gonna say I don't know what it is. So,
If you knew him a little better, you wouldn't be surprised either.
not at all. No, but that was my main takeaway as a kid watching that movie. But then watching as an adult, of course, I really had more of an appreciation for it. So,
Karly, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a really fun movie. I really like it. I'm blanking on his name. The boyfriend of Robin Williams. What's that actor's name?
He's also
Nathan
the
Lane.
producers.
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane. I love Nathan Lane in this. He just brings such a smile to my face. I love it. I love this film. It's delightful. It's fun. I don't have much else to say about it. Just, it's a good time.
Yeah, there you go. All right, and now we're moving on. Now, Daniel,
I think that the Birdcage is not as cynical as the original. In the original, the family is like, no, they're definitely homophobic. The kid was right for thinking that this would not go well. And also, I do like the fact that his parents, like, he's bringing a girl home. Ugh, he's gonna be straight home. So it's like much more cynical and funny in that way. And the difference between Robin Williams and the original is that in the original he's much more angry and cynical, and
A little
in
sleazier
the
too.
remake
Like,
he's sleazy.
Yeah.
In general, it's more sleazy, and Robin Williams is like, I'm Robin Williams. You hire me to be Robin Williams, and I'm like, yes. So this is like I watched Le Cage aux Folles yesterday because I knew someone would bring up the Birdcage. And Robin Williams is just like always plays guys I want to hug.
Nice. So moving on now to pick 2 in round 3. Chris, you're up. What would you like next?
I am gonna do To Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
You rat bastard.
I love a road comedy. I love just a nice, fun road comedy. And this also, it brings some nostalgia to me because I remember, again, watching it as a kid. Like, it's one of my mom's favorite movies. And granted, it does have that 90s sensibility. There's like somewhat of a plot hole in there. Like, for example, why do these 3 drag queens have to stay in drag during this road trip?
One of them is Patrick Swayze is not only playing a drag character, he's playing a transgender character.
See,
that's one of the subplots. She identifies as Vila, and there's an entire subplot about her family not accepting her for being trans. So she goes on drag, becoming a drag queen to come out as transgender. The other 2, no, but her specifically, yes.
See, because I remember that scene of her going to like her parents' house, and it shows that she comes from wealth. But I thought the reading of it was, because of course it is of that time of the 90s, that it's just they have a gay child and they're just like, no, like, and that's where that comes from. But if I'm looking back on it, we never really, I could see that actually as the subtext. Interesting. I'll have to do another watch of that.
It's great. There's an entire scene where she gets named, but someone uses her proper name, and she's very happy about that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a rewatch. But like I said, it's just one of those movies where it's just a good time for me. Love it. Reminds me of my childhood again. And you really can't go wrong with John Leguizamo. I'll pretty much watch him in most things.
Chris is the first time ever hearing. Chris, this is the first time ever hearing of this movie, so thank you so much, because I didn't even know this existed. I'm looking at the poster. I'm like, this sounds like something I should know about, but I just don't.
It's so fun. It's a good time.
I'm really excited to check this out too. Has anyone else seen this one? Is anyone a fan?
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, basically. So I don't remember enough to speak well on it. I will say that at that time, those are probably the 3 least likely characters to see dressed as women. Or 3 actors to see dressed as women, so that's I think that they nailed that on the casting. Wesley Snipes, you would never have thought of that, and it's
this is his best performance.
Yeah, it's I will say that for it. I need to rewatch it. The problem is it's not like streaming free somewhere. And when I was prepping for this month, I only had a certain amount of movies that I could pay for, so I did not watch it this month. So.
Yeah, Karly, had
Well,
you
it's
seen this
interesting
one?
that you.
Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Chris.
Oh, I was going to say, Matt, it's interesting that you also watched it as a kid. And I think what lends itself to that is because of the actors that they chose to play these drag queens. So out of the box to where I think, you know, a straight audience would have no problem going into that because it's just so bizarre, I guess.
Interesting.
It doesn't feel like it's, I guess it doesn't feel like it's a gay movie, even though it is a gay movie, but it also can appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah, it's like when they had like John Travolta play Edna in Hairspray or something like that, like where you get a famous name and you know it's not going to feel off-putting because it's John Travolta, even though I think it's a little more off-putting because it's John Travolta.
I would agree.
Yeah, Karly, had you seen this one? I hadn't.
I started it and I never finished it. I'm not the biggest road trip fan. I do plan to watch the whole thing eventually. I think I just wasn't in the mood for it, but yeah, it was definitely going on my watch list.
All right, Daniel. So you are up next. You have the third pick in
Yes.
round 3. What would you like to pick now as your third film?
Okay, you stole my Catwoman movie. Rude. So I'm going to pick. Do I want to pick that? Yeah, The Watermelon Woman.
Oh, interesting.
So it's when did this come out? 90s? I want to say the 90s. Yeah, 1996. This movie came out, and it's made by a black lesbian. And the idea that she had for the movie is that no movies that she could find in history were about black women that were also gay. And so she made this like fake documentary that was exploring the history of why that happened. So the story is that her character finds a character playing one of those Gone with the Wind racist nanny roles, but it was a gay actor that she found, and she was known as the Watermelon. This is all fake, and so she created this documentary about why no one knows who she is, and it's about how history needs to be filtered through sexism, racism, and homophobia, and so no one got through that filter in history.
Nice.
So
this sounds so
that's what the
interesting.
movie's about.
Yeah, I've never seen this one
really
either.
great.
You guys are bringing up some great movies that I think this is now like 3 picks in a row. Not Love, Simon, but the other 3 picks I haven't heard of or seen. So I've heard of this one, but this is exciting. I want to check it out.
This has been on my watch list since early 2000s. Like it's been on my watch list for a very long time, and for one reason or another, I just haven't watched it. We had the DVD at the video store, and then someone didn't return it or something, or broke it. I don't remember what it was, so I didn't watch it. I was going to watch it this month and never got around to it, and I really wish I had, because I really wish that I had things to say about this, because everything about it feels like something I would love, and I just haven't watched it, and that's unfortunate. But I'm going to now. Yeah. I'll report back next June.
Karly or Chris, have you seen this one?
I haven't. I've seen it around. I've never looked into it. It's always seemed interesting, but it's one of those things where I get so easily distracted when it comes to movies that I actually want to watch.
Right.
But yeah,
there's just too many. There's too many out there.
Too many.
And in the process of making a movie discussing why black gay women don't get don't get the prominence, she is the first lesbian woman of color to make a major motion picture.
Yeah,
like
which is awesome.
So so there's that.
Yeah, there you go. So thank you, Daniel, for that recommendation. I mean, I've seen it on a bunch of lists, so I know it's a great pick. It's not even a niche pick. It's like just a very widely accepted great movie. But we'll all have to check that one out. Karly, you're next up. It's back to you. What would you like for your third pick in the third round? Your third pick, 4th pick in the third round.
Give me a second. I forgot it was my turn next. Okay. All right, there's one I really love, but I think it might be safe. And even if it's not, I'd be okay.
I'm worried because there's one I really want next that I hope you don't take, but I'm just gonna.
Okay. All right. How many picks? I have 3 picks left.
3 left, yep, and then you'll
Okay.
get you have 2 picks between this one and the next one.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go with Gay Cyrano. The half of it.
Oh, that's a good pick. Oh, that wasn't like my one I wanted next, but I was like, I can get that round 5. Nope. Good job, Karly. Tell us about the half of it.
All right, the half of it. So if you know the story of Cyrano, you know this is essentially just gay Cyrano. So I'm a suck. So first of all, this is directed by Alice Wu. She actually directed another gay film, which I don't think will get mentioned, but I will mention in the honorable mentions for sure. So this is her second gay. I think she, because I know it's the other film has a Chinese protagonist. I can't remember if she's in this film, if she's Chinese as well, or if it was Korean.
I think it's it's Chinese American student. Yep.
Perfect. So she's well known for gay Chinese films, which is good. I believe she is gay as well, but I don't remember. I don't have that written down. But anyway, I'm a sucker for love triangles done well. I love a love triangle that is well written, like not one that's just thrown out there and where it's like, oh, who will she choose? But you actually know who they're going to choose because it's obvious. I love when a love triangle is done well, especially an unconventional one. And it's not exactly a love triangle. It's like a weirdly shaped love shape.
A love shape, my favorite.
Because our protagonist, she likes Astrid, I think it is, if I'm remembering correct. She likes Astrid, and she's helping this other guy like write love letters to him, and like they're also kind of falling in love, and it's, like I said, gay Cyrano, and it's just delightful. I really love it. It's like the simplest premises that can be improved just by making it gay, in my opinion. Like if you take any cliche rom-com premise and you just make it gay, I think you make it like twice as good, just because it's like, oh, it's gay now. So that it makes it new and fresh and interesting. And I really I love the ending. I won't spoil exactly what it is, but I like how it's, it's not heartbreaking or tragic or anything. I really like the ending. I think it's really interesting and realistic. And I really like the diverse protagonists. I like when not all gay films are just featuring white leads. Because it adds so much more, especially when you have that even more stigma with other cultures. And, with parents maybe not understanding the same way, because it's like, oh, not only are you gay, you're also not white, you're also a woman. There's all that intersectionality that I think adds a lot. And like film is just beautiful. I love the scene where they're in the water lake thing. Like whenever
springs.
Yeah. Whenever I think of this film, it's the first thing that comes to mind, and like it's just so beautiful and quiet, and yeah, I just love this film. It's been a little bit since I've watched it, so I do need to rewatch it, but I really like it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great pick, Karly. This was like next up. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine. I actually watched this because Dylan recommended it whatever year it came out. Like early on in our
I think it was during the pandemic. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
That's why it's so spawned to me, is also because like that was like a comfort movie during a time where I needed it most, you know?
Let me say this, and I mean this completely sincerely. This is the best version of Cyrano de Bergerac that's ever been put to film, at least that I've seen. I've seen several. I really like this movie. That's really all I have to say about it. I really like this movie. It's the best version of Cyrano de Bergerac.
You said that as if it was a controversial take, Matt, when I completely agree with you. But it's great because like Cyrano, I think the problem with Cyrano nowadays is like the whole idea is like he can't talk to this girl he likes because his nose is too big, and I'm like, that's like,
what?
Like I get it. It's like, whatever. But I just feel like making it now that she can't talk to this girl she likes because she doesn't want to come out and she doesn't know if this girl is also gay. That I think is a much more compelling way to make an inciting incident where she's trying to send these like messages to this girl than the Cyrano thing of, well, my nose is big, so I'm embarrassed. I want to talk through this other guy. I get it. Like, yeah, some people are ashamed of their bodies in some ways, and that's nothing to, poo poo. But like, I just really like how it takes that twist and like makes it focuses it on gay themes, because I think that's just a little bit more relatable nowadays. Usually, we don't hold back on talking to people because of the way we look, or at least I hope we don't nowadays, because we're so much more accepting of like, different looking people and stuff like that. But whereas gayness, especially that age, is still something that people have a tough time addressing, especially when you don't know if the person you like is also into you or into that. So I really like this for those reasons. The spin it takes, it's not just Cyrano, it's Cyrano, but adding, I think, an even deeper layer of meaning onto it because it's a gay film. So I love it. Love it. Cool. Chris, have you seen this one?
I haven't actually. I have added it to my list though. I'm gonna check it out.
Nice. Daniel, have you seen this?
No, but I completely agree. Having a big nose is not a good premise for a movie.
I mean, it works at times. Like the Steve Martin version's, I think, pretty good, and the Peter Dinklage version, it's not his nose, it's his height. It's a spin on it, but I think that's the best version, for sure. Cool. So moving on, Karly didn't take the one I was gonna pick, even though half of it could have very well been my 4th round pick. But I'm glad you got it, Karly, because I know you love it just as much as I do. The one I'm going to pick, I wanted to represent, and some of these films have been made by like gay filmmakers, but I'm going to pick a trans filmmaking duo's film, the best film they ever made, Bound. I'm picking Bound by the Wachowski sisters.
I was going to pick Bound. Oh,
so was I.
Oh,
Karly,
good.
let's fight him in the parking lot.
I kind of was being a little cheeky setting that up to be like, oh, I'm gonna pick a different film, which is still on the board and could very well be picked. I may even pick it next. But like,
you pick both of them, someone's gonna murder you.
But this is like my favorite film of theirs. Like, I really do think. I think it's also because it's their first, and like, the fact that they hadn't come out yet, but we're still like making films that are so queer and so about these different relationships, but also not making it necessarily about those relationships in the sense that it's not about a gay romance. It's about it's a crime story. It's got a lot of like different crime elements, and it just so happens that it is also a gay story as well. It's not it's multifaceted in that way, and I really like it. I think the crime in this thing is great. It's all set in primarily one location, and even though it is their first film and it's a lower budget film, I think they utilize the cinematography and all the colors really, really well. The colors of the reds on blacks and whites, and it's just so well shot, so well done, so sexy, so beautiful, so edge of your seat, like thrilling as well. It just, I know they've made bigger and better, some say better films since, but like this has always been my favorite of theirs just because it just feels the most raw, and like I wish they went back to movies like this, because now they have gotten the budgets to make huge blockbuster films that like I hope they would eventually go back to something a little bit more small scale again, because it is so exciting to see them work in this lens. So I'm glad I snagged it, because it sounded like I was going to lose it. Karly, tell us, what do you think about Bound?
I love it. I love like, it's very neo-noir. I just love how it really subverts your expectations, because you're kind of like waiting for a double cross, but like it's a really simple movie. Like, it's just, we have to get this done, we have to get this money, and then we're gonna run away together. I love the tension. I think the tension of it just is really well done. Like, while watching it, I like so badly wanted them to get a happy ending. I won't say whether or not they do, but it was like the tension just so great. Like, you're really rooting for these two people to make it out. And like I've said before, it's a movie.
Make it out or make out?
Make it out. Both.
Oh, okay. But
both would be fine.
Let's just say both would be fine.
It's my favorite type of film where it's a great movie, but it just so happens to have gay elements that just elevate it and make it really good. If I was picking without strategy, this would have been my number 3 film. Like, it's really fantastic, and I love how it's directed by 2 trans women, even if they weren't aware of it at that time, and if it was their first movie, they probably weren't. It's just great to see that representation, and see, like, of course they would be making that type of film. And I discovered this pretty recently. I think a few years ago. It was for Dan's Movie Club. I don't
it's probably
remember.
Last year.
probably
a
last
year
year.
before.
Yep. I just love it.
Yeah.
I like
And
I fell in love with
the
it.
cast too. Yeah, Jennifer Tilly, Gina Gershon, and then Joey Pants. I love me some Joey Pants. He's so good. Joey Pantoliano. I can't pronounce that name, but Daniel, it looked like you wanted this too. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, I'll fight you in the parking lot later. This is a brilliant movie. I love noir as a genre, and I watched this for Dan's Movie Club, and I was like, this is amazing. I don't know if anyone's going to put their other movie on the list, so I'll tell the fun fact that I have for that movie if it comes up or afterwards.
Yeah, cool.
But I love this movie. It's great.
Yeah, Chris or Matt, any thoughts on this one?
I've never seen it.
Oh, cool.
I'm striking out here, but I will definitely because I do like the Wachowskis. But yeah.
It
Matt?
seems so up your alley too. I think you really like it. I will say this: I didn't finish this movie. I need to, and not because I was uninterested. It's
No,
just,
How did you start it and not finish?
I don't think that's
I have
legally
children,
possible.
and sometimes things happen,
That's
and
fair.
sometimes
Okay.
they walk in the room, and I have to turn it off.
He is bound to parental responsibilities, people. He's bound. See what I did there? No, Matt, I implored you to finish it because it's so good. It's so good. I know you.
I'm going to. I just haven't finished it. So.
Nice. Cool. All right. So, oh shoot, I did the same thing Karly did, where I just didn't think that I was next, so I now have nothing. I have a film I want at the very, very end that I don't think anyone's gonna take. So I'm gonna take one that I think could get snagged, maybe. Oh, I don't know though. Do I want that one? Is that too depressing?
I did
Sorry.
avoid depressing movies.
I was gonna say, like, I'm trying to pick, but Bound isn't like happy. All right, I'll go with something that's like got a lot of heart and got a lot of color and got a lot of great stuff going on. And it's another one where it's like not all about the queerness, but it is an element of it. It won Best Picture a few months ago. It is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
You know, it's the idea of, you know, like you travel the multiverse to get to explore this mother-daughter relationship. It's all about parents and their kids and you know, trying to accept them and their queerness. I know it's not central to the story in a way a lot of these other ones are, because it is more about her.
It is.
I mean, it is, but
It is,
okay, yeah. Daniel will explain it later, but no, but you know, like it's a lot of it is her and her husband as well. You know, it's not just her and her daughter; it's her and her husband as well. But I think making the daughter like the villain of all these different multiverses to then kind of tie back to the whole acceptance thing is really, really smart, really well done. It's also just got great, like, kind of. It has a great energy that you get in a lot of queer cinema because like the directors are willing to like kind of swing big. One of the directors, you know, is very like kind of odd and quirky, and the other one is very much more in like the more emotional stuff. Like he really excels in that, so it makes like a really good team up there where you have like two very different personalities coming together to make something that it feels so unique. And I know it's very recent, so it might be a little recency bias, but a lot of people seem to love it. I love it. This is another one that like didn't make our best of 2022 draft just because there were so many great movies to pick, so I feel like this is also making up for that. And it's a film that I didn't love the first time I saw it, but then when I rewatched it I loved it even more, and I like it every time I see it. So you know, a great way to use the multiverse to explore those themes. So, Daniel, you look like you had something to say though about that, so I'll let you.
Yeah. So the daughter is exploring the multiverse in order to find a version of her mother that accepts her completely. In her universe, she was being abused for the sake of science, and she goes. And one of the lines is, "I traveled all of the multiverse, I do all these things, and you still are hung up about the fact that I'm gay."
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, and I love the ending. I don't want to spoil the ending, but I love the ending and how that conversation is like
it's
not
my
only
favorite scene in
between
the whole movie.
one version, it's between all of them.
Yeah, and I love how it's also multi-generational too, because it's not just her mother's acceptance, it's her grandfather's acceptance as well, because that's a big part of it as well, is that she doesn't want to bring over her partner, her girlfriend, because not just because of what Michelle Yeoh's character thinks, but it's what James Hong's character thinks as well, and she doesn't want to set that example. So I agree. No, it is about that. I was just saying there's other things also at the central. You know, like you wouldn't think at first glance that is what it's about, but it is. You know, they didn't market it as it, but that is what the story is about. Yeah, you're totally right. And I'm happy to have it because I really like it. I mean, I'm sure everyone else has heard of it or seen it. But any thoughts on Everything Everywhere All at Once?
It was going to be my next pick, and not necessarily because it was my
I'm sorry,
favorite or
Matt.
anything, but like it it was a rare strategy thing where I was going to have it be my next pick, and I was hoping that no one else was like going to consider it, just because of, like you said, like there's a lot on the surface that doesn't seem like that's what it's about, but that is what it's about. It's about a woman who's about to destroy the multiverse as a means to get her mother to accept her. Like that is what it's about. And I think it's a brilliant movie. Like you, I wasn't in love with it until I watched it a couple times. But I think it's a great movie, and it was going to be my next pick. So well done.
I'm sorry, Matt. I signed it from you. I'm sorry. Chris,
it's
any
not the
thoughts on
most
Everything
egregious snagging you've done for me in this show. So.
I was obsessed with that movie when it first came out. Like, saw it in theaters. Just really loved it, and I was pleasantly surprised because I went into it kind of blind. Like, I just didn't want to know anything about it really. I just heard like people talking about it. But no, great pick. I didn't even think about putting it on my list, but yeah.
Well, there's so many. Karly, any thoughts on Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, it was on my list. It was lower because, the gayness isn't as huge a thing as the rest of the plot. But it's a fantastic film. I've only seen it twice. First in theaters, where I just died laughing at the hot dog thing that I won't spoil just in case no one has seen it.
Oh, that's also gay too.
It killed me.
I forgot about that scene. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's just, I love it. I love it so much. Michelle Yeoh is amazing. I was so happy for her. So happy she won Best Actress. Like, I was just like, oh, good job. It made me it just filled me with so much joy because I was rooting for her so hard. And Stephanie Hsu, there has been she has alluded to potentially being gay. So Stephanie, call me if you are. I would love to get a drink sometime.
Shooting your shot.
Yes. And she's just amazing. I was obsessed with her in that film. I'm still a little bitter that she didn't win Best Supporting Actress because she was definitely the best supporting performance in that film, in my opinion.
I agree.
But yeah, it's a great film. I love it. I really love that film.
Cool. Well, Karly, tell us about another film you love because you're next up.
All right. Let's go with okay. I'll do another one of my weird ones. All right. 1 second. Let me find my notes. So this is a film directed by Park Chan-wook. It is The Handmaiden.
I can see Matt's wheels turning when you were saying Park Chan-wook. Yeah, I think we all thought it. Yeah.
Yes. He also directed Decision to Leave, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I loved The Handmaiden. I really do need to rewatch this. I ran out of time with school stuff being everywhere. But I really. Yes. I really need to rewatch it, but oh god, it really sticks with me in my brain, even though I've only seen it once. I've read the book, and the movie is definitely better. The way it does it is much better, in my opinion. It's much more interesting. It's just so dark and twisted, but it also finds a way to be beautiful, and the relationship. And funny. The relationship the two women have is really good. I love the way it slowly unpeels the layers of the story. When you get to that final act, it's just kind of blows your mind a little bit. Just everything you didn't know before. I love the 69 scene. If you know, you know. It's great. It was the first time I ever saw that, and it blew my mind. I was like, oh wow. Wow. I don't. As far as I know, it wasn't nominated for any Oscars, and I don't know if a different film was just nominated that year or something. But it's insane. That's a crime. Maybe it would have been too weird for the Oscars, but
yeah, that happens, especially in that category. I mean, Matt brought it up with Portrait of a Lady on Fire. They just don't. They don't pick the right international films. That's just how it is. Or they don't. The right country. The countries don't submit the right ones to get picked. So
Yes.
it won the it competed in the Palme d'Or at Cannes, but still not enough.
Yep, not enough. But yeah, it's really, really, and it's interesting because wasn't Decision to Leave also not submitted or not chosen? Or
It was not chosen.
Didn't it win?
It might have won the Globe, but it's got snubbed for the Oscar because I remember EO took its place basically.
No,
was another shocker.
It won because it was nominated for Best Picture.
Decision to Leave? You mean Drive My Car?
I'm thinking of Drive My Car. You're right.
But either way, but either way, I think Park Chan-wook has like I don't know. They must not love him, but I don't know. Matt, you seemed angry when she took this from you.
I was. On this? This is a wonderful film, and it probably would have gone higher. I almost took it as my second one, but I had just picked an international film, and I was thinking strategy. I need to stop. I never think strategy, and today I'm thinking.
No, the
strategy.
one time,
yeah. I really this is a wonderful movie. It's brilliant. I do have a nitpick with it, and I'm going to bring that up in just a minute. But before that, I would like to read Dylan Randazzo's review of this movie.
Really?
Just briefly.
This is probably like 5 or 6 years old.
It's 2018, and that's the point I'm going to make here. Between last year's Okja and this year's Burning, and now this, Korean cinema might be my favorite form of transnational filmmaking there is. This was before Parasite. This was before Minari. This was before Decision to Leave. Like, yeah, you were ahead of the game on that. To me, it's always Korean and French. They kind of like those are the two. Like they both I'm going to watch movies in those from those regions because they generally make really great films. But I will say this: I love this movie. It surprised me how good it was. At first, I wasn't really completely digging it, and then it really like started to ramp up, and I really started enjoying it. By the end, I was like, "Oh, this is incredible." It's sneakily funny. Like, there's a lot of comedy in this movie, but it's kind of like there's also a lot of like drama and stuff in it where it doesn't. I don't know. The comedy kind of feels like it's almost unexpected when the comedy does happen. But I really dug this movie. My nitpick with this film is that, and I could be completely wrong about this because Karly just talked about how much she liked it, but the sex scenes are obviously conceived of by a straight man. I don't know if Park Chan-wook is a straight man, but it seems like they were conceived of by a straight man because
men nonetheless. They
are identical to. Okay, my source here is I was a teenager when LimeWire existed. They are identical to a lot of smut involving lesbians that one might watch, and almost to the like they were almost in the same order that you would see those things in. It was definitely from a male's point of view, and it felt like they didn't even get another perspective, and that kind of weirded me out while I was watching. I was like, wow, this feels so much like a man's fantasy of how this works. But Karly liked it, so maybe I'm completely off base.
I mainly liked it because of the 69 joke. That was the main thing.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say
nice.
I have seen this one obviously because Matt just referenced my review, but I haven't seen it since then, so I need to rewatch it. Otherwise, it was on my list, but so far low down because I was like, I actually saw on Letterboxd that you had watched this, Matt. So I was like, Matt will probably bring it up. Actually, Karly brought it up actually, but I was like, I knew someone would probably bring it up because Matt had recently logged it on Letterboxd. But yeah, like the whole male gaze thing reminds me of another film that I watched for this that I won't say the title of, but the hair of one character is very similar to Daniel's. I'll just say that. That is kind of like that too. Like the male gaze ruins some of the moments of that thing, of that film. So I totally get where you're coming from there. With that
Daniel's hair is very warm.
Yeah, it might be the warmest color.
It might be the warmest color.
I was going to watch that. I didn't have time.
I was going to say, I won't bring it up now because someone might, but like I actually really do like the movie. It just the sex scenes themselves do feel a little overindulgent because of who's making it.
I like the movie too, but it doesn't. Exactly. It's the same thing with Handmaid. Like it feels like the person who's making the movie was what? Oh my God, my dogs! Jesus.
Don't worry, you're good.
It feels like the person who making the movie was fulfilling their own fantasy by making this happen in front of them, and that's the troubling thing. Blues the Warmest Color is a good movie. It will always hold that to me. Handmaiden, not as bad because it's just one and a half scenes that hold that for me, but it does feel that way. But I will say that there is some comedy and some really sweet moments in those scenes, even if I don't like them. That I think that Handmaiden does does reach a higher level of that.
Yeah.
So,
Any other thoughts on Handmaiden? Cool. All right. So we're moving on to you, Daniel. You're going to get another pick now. You have 2 left. So what'll be your next pick in the draft?
I'm doing a coin flip. I don't know how this graphic will look because I'm going to pick them both. But which one do I pick next? And you guys aren't going to have either. So I'm going to have, I think it's Eliza and Marcella. It's a Spanish name, if that helps. But it is came out in 2019. It's about the first gay marriage under a Catholic Church. I think it's Christian church of some kind. It was in 1901, and it's a historical drama. And the reason it's the first is because one of them dressed like a man, and then before it got annulled, they ran off. So technically, it's the first one. It's great romance drama.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard of this. It looks like it's a Netflix distributed film as well, from Spain. Yeah, Eliza and Marcella. I have to check this one out because I have not heard of this.
I was going to say the same thing. I'll have to.
That's why I was excited because I was like, I know Daniel's going to bring the more not unconventional because they're not queer, but like very out of left field picks. So I'm very excited to
get the mainstream. They suck.
Yeah. Anyone else see this one? No.
I have not seen it. I will say that it does sound interesting. I'm not sure. You said the first marriage in I don't know what kind of thing. I will say that early Christians married gay people all the time. That is
okay.
The not marrying gay people is a modern thing.
Fantastic. Thank you for correcting me. As soon as I said that, I'm like, I definitely don't know enough about history to make this a definitive statement.
It says here
I will say modern as in the last few hundred years, not like recent. But
it does say here the first same-sex matrimony recorded in Spain. So it has that distinction. There you go. So
yeah, because like I as soon as I say that, and then I'm like, the Greeks probably did that. And like there's other countries that had other religions that were much more queer.
There you go. Yeah, but I definitely want to check this out. It's on Netflix. People go watch it. All right, Chris. What is going to be your 4th pick?
Okay, I have gone too long without bringing up any type of horror movie.
I was wondering.
So I was trying to actually not be super horror centric. I'm going to go with kind of a weird one, but I love it all the same. Skinamarink, because the director is Kyle Edward Ball, gay director. That movie, I honestly, it might be the experience that I had watching it. I guess repping Circle Cinema, my local art house cinema on this podcast, went to go see that with my husband and my best friend. And it was such a fun theater because this movie is so like lo-fi, very experimental, very art house, non-linear like story. It makes you just look at everything that's happening on screen. And it was just so great. So much legitimate fear I felt happened in that theater that culminated in also like nervous laughter when the movie was done. Like the last shot of the movie, nervous laughter happened and we all just like kind of got up and shuffled out of the theater. I can't recommend it enough.
That's amazing. If I had known this was a gay director, I would have put it on my short list because this is, I think I told Karly and maybe Matt this is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It is the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life for very different reasons than I ever expected. It feels like a nightmare put to cinema, but not even like nightmarish stuff, but like a literal nightmare where you can't really make out the imagery and like, but you can hear noises, but they're very loud and soft depending on the where you are, and just things are different, but not like drawing attention to those things either. Like, it is so good. Wow.
And reading interviews with him, that's what he was going for, was just kind of a harkening back to nightmares that you would have as a child and how that would look on film. Like, what would that feel like and look like? And I think he succeeded.
Wow, I did not know he was gay, or that it was even, And I wonder now if, like, watching it back, if there's any like queer themes to take from the movie itself. But
going into it, I wasn't looking for any subtext, and I haven't rewatched it since. It is on Shudder, which I should just watch it on there, but I need to do a rewatch and kind of just have that in my mind, because going into it, I did not know that about him. So,
well, I mean, like a large portion of the film is about how like the parents kind of essentially go missing, and like could that be an allegory to like, you know, people walking out on their kids,
like abandonment?
Abandonment. Oh my god,
things are unfolding. The abandonment aspect, but like there's so much of that movie that I just need to.
I was say, Karly, are you okay? I know you're terrified of this movie too. Are you okay sitting here listening to us talk about it?
Listen, I'm not a horror wimp like Dyl. No offense.
Oh, I'm such a wimp.
But this movie, oh god, like constantly throughout the film, I had to figure out: do I want to cover my eyes? Do I want to plug my ears? Do I want to just run screaming from the theater? Like, oh my god, it just freaked me out so much. Like, truly a great film. One I will never watch again because I would not be able to handle it. It's. Great pick. Great out of the box pick, but
I'm a horror guy, and like I think even Matt knows, like I love horror. I don't really get scared by things, but that movie, it just
that's how you know. Matt, have you seen this?
Yes. I would like to. I know I just referenced Letterboxd, but I'm going to read an excerpt from my review of this on Letterboxd, because I think that this is, I don't know, there's a quality to this movie that feels so unique and so old, but like so unique, but also so like timeless and old. Here's what I need to say about it. Kyle Edward Ball, who I didn't know was gay either, or this would have been on my list, had a camera, a box of old toys, and a dream, and it resulted in one of the most unsettling experiences I've had in years. Here's the important part. This is one of the rare instances where the traditional theatrical experience may not be the right way to view this. The optimal viewing experience, if you can swing it, would be an unmarked VHS tape that is passed to you by a friend who thought it was scary, who got it from their friend whose mom wouldn't let them keep it in the house, and they got it from a friend who found it in a box of VHS in the woods. If you can't do that, then streaming it in a dark room with the volume turned high is also acceptable.
That's amazing. I need to follow you on Letterboxd.
That's awesome.
But it's true. It had the feeling of of a tape that was passed to you from someone said, have you seen, like, I found this, you should watch it also. That's how it felt. It felt like the movie in a horror movie that everybody's afraid of. And it was very interesting. And yes, it was scary. I also don't get very scared of things. I had all the lights off. I had the volume turned up, and I was getting freaked out while watching this movie.
I've only seen it on the big screen. So like Chris, I went to a theater, but it was weird because my theater was not packed. There were two other people in the theater, and one was sitting all the way across the way, and one was sitting all the way in the front, to where I was like, this is creepy. And like, it just made the creepiest experience. But then like the movie is so like almost kind of fuzzy that like on the big screen you can barely make out what's happening, even in the most lit moments. It's lit, but like it was very like interesting to watch it from that lens. So now I'm excited to, if I ever do go back on a smaller experience,
don't do it
on a smaller screen. Well, I did buy the Blu-ray only because streaming services have been fucking with a lot of original movies lately, to where I'm like, if I don't have a way to watch this ever again, I'm gonna regret it. So I want to have it so that I could be the guy in Matt's story who like hands it to someone in 50 years. I'm like, this is a movie from my day, and they're like, what is this from a streaming service? What's a streaming service? So I'm
right there with you.
I bought the Blu-ray, but I don't think I'll
buying the Blu-ray. I need to go ahead and get it, and I think I'm dragging my feet on watching it like at home on a smaller screen, because I know I'm going to want to watch it completely in the dark, like to really get the full experience. But that's going to terrify me. So
yeah. Daniel, have you seen this one yet?
So what's funny is I haven't seen it because I have a very limited amount of types of horror that I can watch without freaking the fuck out. but I saw it go from this underrated cult movie that no one talks about to being the most talked about movie in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and on the budget, I'm gonna pull up the budget right now. I think it was $15,000, and it grossed $2.1 million. So it like made back.
This
10 times
is
its
why
budget
you
before.
should have low budgets.
There you go. All right, Matt. Round out your board here. You get 2 picks back to back now. So you get the ones you want now, or the ones that are left that you want. What would you like for your 4th pick?
It's not easier knowing that I just get what I want for my last 2 picks. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to. Okay, I'm gonna go with for my second to last pick. Oh god, I just thought I would talk about this in honorable mentions, but I'm about to pick it. I'm about to pick it out of the thing. I am gonna go with Dog Day Afternoon.
Okay.
You bitch. Matt, when I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna take this one. I was like, because it's like, who would think of this one?
He was on
Oh
my
my
list
God.
too.
That is like, go ahead, Matt. I'll let you talk about it. So good.
Oh,
Such a
no,
good pick,
it's
Matt.
just-
I'm
it's-
so happy for you. I'm voting for you.
If you haven't seen it, Al Pacino plays a man who is robbing a bank in order to pay for gender reassignment surgery for his boyfriend or girlfriend, I guess is the is what it would be. But yeah, so he is robbing a bank to pay for the gender reassignment surgery, and while this movie is really about the characters. It's not so much about that portion of the plot. Like, it's about his interaction with the people in the bank and everything like that. There is, and you know, he's not the best protagonist, because there are, you know, it was the 70s, so we couldn't have protagonists we couldn't have squeaky clean protagonists back then. They had to be a little bit gross, and he was. But the relationship between him and his girlfriend is incredibly sweet, and it's just a really good movie. And honestly, the fact that this came out in the 70s and it remains so popular, considering what it's about, it's kind of incredible. Sorry, Dylan messaged me. I love you, Matt.
You had a strong reaction. I didn't want you to think I was actually mad at you. I mean,
I was laughing. I was trying to. Here's what happened. I was trying to find a way to go from bitch to the fact that this is called Dog Day Afternoon, which is to make the dog connection, but the joke wasn't there.
That's okay.
But yeah, so yeah, it's a great movie. And I'm gonna let other people talk about it.
It's one of my favorite films of the 70s. It would have been my pick for Best Picture in a year where Jaws is not competing against it. I think it's amazing. I really do think it's such an interesting turn, because like, they could have written it differently to where it's just like he's supporting a surgery for his wife or his girlfriend, his cisgender girlfriend. They could have even made it, and that would have been more 70s friendly. But I like how they don't, how they are like, no, he's doing this heist so he can pay for a sex change for his girlfriend. And I think that's amazing, because it's like, yeah, they could have easily changed it back
It's
then.
kind of what they kept it.
Yeah, I'm surprised they kept it, because like that, you would never see a film of that time, especially release something like that. As Matt said, like, it's the 70s, like that's what's so wild about it and so amazing about it. And I think that's great, even though it is like a little plot detail in a bigger story. I mean, it's mostly about the heist. You don't even find out his motive till later, but it also comes at such a great point where you find out why he's doing it, because the whole time you're like, well, why should I root for this guy aside from him being Al Pacino? But then when it's revealed why he's doing what he's doing, you're like, that's when it gives you the moral dilemma, because you're like, wow, he's actually doing something super selfless for someone else. He's not doing it for his own personal gain. He's doing it because he wants his partner to live the way they want to live. He is such an ally. So like that is like such an interesting plot device. I love it. I love that pick, Matt, because it's so unconventional. You know, it's wouldn't come to mind when you think of just like gay movies, but it is like, and that's a fundamental part of it. Great job. Bravo, sir. Nice job.
And you get Michael and Alfredo in the movie together.
That's right.
Michael and Alfredo. together.
Fredo
again.
made 5 movies in his whole career, and that's one of the or 5, not in his whole career, but like he had a stretch. He had an amazing.
But
stretch.
dude, they were
Godfather,
banging.
Godfather 2, Dog Day,
Dude has
Hunter,
probably has the best
Conversation.
He probably has the best hit rate of anyone.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
how many he's done versus how many are just classics. But yeah,
5 films over 7 years, all nominated for Best Picture. John Cazale, Recipes, and he got to marry Meryl Streep, which is like another win. So there you go. Any thoughts on Dog Day Afternoon? Anyone?
So I checked. Al Pacino didn't produce this movie, but do you think that since a movie like this is hard to make, that it was made because Al Pacino wanted to star in it?
Maybe, yeah. Like Al Pacino. I mean, Sidney Lumet was directing, so I think you had enough people to like kind of rebel against the studio notes and kind of be like, "This is what we want to make." But who knows? I mean, I'd love to know more about it. But yeah, just really interesting.
Yeah, I have not seen this film, but I do really want to. I'm pretty sure it's been on my watch list since you covered on Picture This.
Nice.
Yes, because I think I kind of wanted to see it. Then I heard it was gay, and I was like, all right, gotta shoot it up my watch list.
Yeah, it's like it helped
Two
you get
watch
off
lists.
the fence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, any thoughts on Dog Day Afternoon?
It's been a while since I watched it, but I remember really liking it. First time I watched it, I was probably 20 something, 23, and I enjoyed it.
Nice. All right, so Matt, you get another pick now. Your last pick. How are you gonna round it out?
All right. So I've known from the beginning what movie was going to be my number 5, and I knew no one was going to take it. And we know I don't play this game to win. If Chad or Dylan are on it, they're gonna win. That's just how this game works.
No. Actually, I forgot to mention who won the last draft, but I don't think it was either me or Chad. But continue.
Interesting.
I think it might have been you.
Really? Okay. Anyway, it is a. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm picking Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Revenge.
That's my boy. That's
a
brilliant, Matt.
It's a movie that isn't gay, but is so freaking gay. We covered it on Framewreck, so if you want a full breakdown of this movie and why it's gay, and the story behind it, go watch that episode. Go watch the movie Scream Queens, which actually that's eligible, or the Scream Queen, which is the documentary about that movie. This movie was written as just a straightforward sequel to A Nightmare on Elm Street. But it not only does it have so many gay undertones and so much gay subtext that it's almost not even subtext. I believe I said that on the Framewreck episode. The subtext is so clear that it's just text. And what turned out was that the Mark Patton, is that his name? I believe
yes,
that's his name. Mark Patton, who plays the protagonist Jesse in that movie, because it's the rare instance of the final girl being a guy. Turns out that he actually was gay in reality, and so for years the writer was like, "Look, if you got anything gay from it, it's because Mark gayed up the screen or whatever." He's like, "No, it was meant to be homophobic." He went all over the place, just like denying it. Several years ago, he was like, "Look, I always meant for it to be gay." I don't know if he meant for it to be gay or not.
Backtracking.
He just wants
I don't
them
know.
to be
I don't know
quiet.
how he felt or what he was doing. What I do know is that he made one of the most brilliant gay horror movies that's ever existed. It's funny. It's not as bad as everybody says. We gave it a redemption on Framewreck. We all enjoy that movie. It's legitimately a movie we enjoy. And yeah, so I'm picking it because I love it.
Yeah, I
That
love how
might have been on my list.
I was gonna
Just
say
so
it was
you
on my
know.
list too, so that was smart, Matt. Because, and I like how you opened it with like, did you open it with like you're gonna be strategic here, and then this was gonna be like,
Yeah, I
pick for
pretended
the
like
poll?
I was being strategic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I was like, technically, you might have just won over Chris's vote as well. So, so there you go. It may have been strategic on that in that way, but it's a great pick. Great pick.
Anybody else have anything to say about this movie?
Is this the one where one of the characters' nightmares is being outed?
I mean, in a way, but not
to a
not
degree.
specifically.
No,
Like,
Okay,
like-
so it's subtext.
One of his nightmares is the demon inside of him breaking out. Literally, you see it bursting out of his body. The Freddy, like
Freddy's
the
inside me.
knife
Yeah.
out of his hands, it bursts out of the chest.
Karly's like, nope.
It's all subtext, but not subtext.
Right.
But it's well
It's the
done.
interview
like,
with the vampire.
Yes,
vibe.
the effects are
But
done
the subtext
well.
is very obvious.
Yeah, like
That's
it's
fun.
well made. I don't think it's even that badly made. I mean, it's cheesy, but I mean, that's the best kind of nightmare.
I think it's meant to be.
Yeah, but go check out Chris, Matt, and I's video on it because it's amazing. Chris, I'll turn it over to you next. What is your next pick or your last pick going to be?
My last pick. We're gonna stick with horror.
Ooh,
And kind of sticking with just creators behind the scenes, or not really behind the scenes, but actors themselves being queer that are in the work. I'm just gonna stop talking now. I'm just gonna say Hellraiser 2022.
ooh, cool.
Basically, because Jamie Clayton plays this version's Pinhead. In this, she's called the Priest. So she's the lead Cenobite in that, and I think she does a really good job. And she's a trans woman, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, is the
There we go.
character itself non-binary or something? I thought I heard that.
Well, and that's the thing with creatures from the Hellraiser world. There's just the idea that gender just doesn't exist in that plane. Like they've transcended beyond what gender is.
Cool.
Like it's just they're just beings who are there to offer supreme pleasure through pain.
There you go.
Terrible,
Hellraiser. Super
but
proud.
great. Yeah. And also
Love that.
Clive Barker is the writer of The Hellbound Heart. The Hellbound Heart, which is what Hellraiser is initially based on. He's, famed gay author. And just when it comes down to it, you've got the creatures from Hellraiser, they're leather clad. It's a very queer piece of work. And
Nice.
that I feel like is why it deserves a place on this list.
Cool. Matt, any thought? I think you're muted. I don't know if you were talking to us.
No, I was talking to a dog. I have not seen this movie, but I want to now. That's really
Karly,
good.
have you seen this?
I have not seen it, but I love the non-binary-ish rep on the list, so that's good.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Daniel, have you seen the new Hellraiser?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any of the Hellraisers because, again, I need to get into a horror movie.
Right. Nice. But it's a great pick because I've seen this at least the other Hellraisers too, kind of come up on queer cinema lists. But especially what you said about the lead being, you said transgender or non-binary or
The lead actress, she is trans, which
Nice.
I remember that was kind of a big. In some horror movie circles, it was kind of a deal because I don't know, bigots are everywhere. But the idea that a trans woman was portraying this famed horror icon, Pinhead, it was just kind of unheard of at the time. I think the consensus is she does a great job with the material. Cool. It's just spot on.
Nice. I want to check this out. Cool. All right. So Daniel, what is going to be your final pick on your draft board? I think I know where this might be going, but we'll see.
I thought so too. And then one of you took a movie and I had to counter it with another one. So I skipped Sherlock Holmes. I was going to go with Sherlock Holmes. He's my favorite Arrow-Ace character. There's a million of them. But instead, I'm going to go with the documentary. I think the most important part of my name is furry trash. So I'm going to go with a documentary made by a trans woman named Ash, She's Ash Coyote on YouTube. This is on her YouTube channel. She released it in cinemas, and it's called The Fandom.
The Fandom.
It's about the furry fandom and the gay couple that started the first furry con.
Cool.
And then it goes through the queer history of furries in general.
Interesting.
And
yeah, it's on Tubi.
It's great. It's an interesting look. The idea that she had was that no one's done interviews with these guys, and the furry fandom is huge, and these guys started it more or less. So she wanted to document it.
Nice.
So it's about the history of furries, the gayest of all fandoms.
I was gonna say, can you elaborate just a little bit for people who don't know, like just the furry fandom and how that applies, like queerness and all that? Or
Sure. So a lot of furries identify as queer. If you go, they get surveyed, and there's a disproportionate amount of queer rep in the furry fandom, more than any other, especially transgender people use their characters, their personas, as ways of playing with gender to see how they identify. And you have a lot of queer people in the furry fandom as well. And this documentary covers specifically the queer history of furries. It's not just a documentary about furries, but about the queer history of furries as well.
Nice. Cool. That's probably really informative, and I can't wait to check that out. Has anyone else seen this, heard of this?
I have not, but I'm actually interested. I would definitely check that out.
Yeah, me too. Anyone else?
She was going to release it in cinemas, but then the pandemic hit, so she just put it on a YouTube channel.
Gotcha. Hey, that's one way to get it seen, you know. So where our video can be found right next to the fandom. So watch them in a double feature. Great pick, Daniel. All right, moving on. Karly, what is going to be your final pick?
My final pick. So I was pretty sure no one would grab this. And this movie is part of the reason I'm kind of happy some of my other picks have been grabbed, because this isn't a movie I just wanted to rattle off in the honorable mentions. So we don't have much poly rep on this list. So I am picking Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman.
I knew you would. I knew I called it. It was going to be on my list, and then I'm like, oh, Kelly's going to pick that.
So it has a lesbian director, and it was also produced by a primary female and queer producing team, which is really cool. So if anyone doesn't really know the premise, it's about the man who essentially, I don't know if he was the one who created Wonder Woman or if he just wrote most of her early stuff, but he created Wonder Woman. Good. So it's about his relationship with his wife, and then also their partner, who, and both of those women really inspired his writing of Wonder Woman like different ways, and it's just kind of about their relationship, and it's like a poly relationship, like they're both dating this other woman, and I really love it. It's there's not enough polyamorous representation in general out there. Like the only other piece of media that I can think of that really did a lot of that was like Sense8, also made by the Wachowskis, which I would recommend everyone should watch Sense8. It's amazing. But I love it. Like, I'm always saying the best solution to a love triangle is just all date each other, just solve all the problems. And the person playing Professor Marston, Luke Evans, he's actually queer, which is really interesting.
I didn't know that. Because
he doesn't need to be like he's dating women. He's technically the only straight person in this relationship, but it's really cool that like they got a gay actor to do that. And you know, they do some bondage and just general like throuple stuff. I really like it. I think it's really cool, and I love how it's based off of a true story, and it's just a really interesting relationship. And yeah, I just absolutely love this film. I think it's fantastic.
Nice.
I actually haven't seen this. I just know about him because he also created the lie detector test, the polygraph, which is interesting because Wonder Woman Carries around a polygraph
Oh,
test.
that's so cool! Wow. Okay.
But
Cool.
I haven't seen this, but it's been on my radar. Like when it was originally announced, I was like, yes, I need to watch that. Then it came out to very little fanfare, and I just missed it, and then I just haven't gotten on it. So,
and I think this came out like right around the time the actual Wonder Woman movie did. I think
Yeah,
it was, like,
same year, same
2017.
like within the same couple of months. It deeply amuses me that DC was hiding this this history from Wonder Woman for decades, and then the moment the movie's released, there's a movie about the history that they were trying to hide being released.
There you go. Daniel, have you seen this one?
I haven't. I was going to watch it for this, then I'm like, Karly's probably going to cover it. So I watched the Birdcage one instead.
Nice. Very cool. Well, I'll check that out too because I haven't seen that. Yeah, Chris?
I recommend the book, The Secret History of Wonder Woman by Jill Lepore, which I haven't seen this, but from the sounds of it, what I gathered from the book was that it basically covers all of that, like just the relationship, him going through the process of creating the character and all of that. So
nice. Cool. All right. So to round out this draft, as soon as Dog Day Afternoon was picked, I wasn't set on it, so it's okay, Matt. But then I'm glad you
listen. You took the Evil Dead trilogy, so I will never feel bad about taking something from you.
Months ago.
Yeah. No, you're still on my.
It's called a grudge, sir. No, I'm kidding. But no, there's another film though that like when I got fifth pick, I was like, okay, I'm gonna round out the draft with this because it's so new, it's so recent. But like I still think. When I saw it, I was watching and I was like, there's definitely queer stuff going on here. And then when I went home and like started like researching the movie and looking more into it, I was like, no, like there's like actually explicit queer stuff in the movie, but it's something that like a normal audience would probably like go over their head almost. It's another along the Wonder Woman line. It's another superhero film. Along my last pick, Everything Ever All at Once, it is a multiverse film. It is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And before everyone's like, what is that pick? I'm not just talking about the shot of Gwen on her bed where it says protect trans kids on her wall.
Totally would have called you out on that.
Which is awesome. But it's not just that. It's that Gwen's story as a whole, and I'm not going to get into spoilers, obviously, because it's so new, but Gwen's story as a whole is a trans allegory. It is the idea of her trying to conceal something from her father that her father so violently hates, to when it is finally revealed, when she's outed to her father immediately neglects her and doesn't accept her. And it shows how this whole journey, this whole film, this personal journey for Gwen eventually culminates in something with her father and her acceptance of her and who she is. And it's not explicit, obviously, but I've seen arguments out there that Gwen herself in this film is trans. And because at the end, also, her father does wear a trans flag pin on his hat or on near his badge. So it's something like you can
really
miss it. Yeah. So the father,
brilliant.
and it's a police officer. So the fact that a police officer would be wearing that badge, it makes me think that, there's a reason, and it's not just that he's an ally, just given what we know about police in New York and, parents of trans kids, it would make sense that like he wears the pin for a very specific reason. But I've heard a lot of people online be like, Gwen can't be trans. Gwen's not trans. The only argument that the film gives to her not being trans is the fact that her voice actress is not. That's the only evidence that says that she is not trans, and that's not even good evidence because it's a voice actress. Haley Steinfeld is not. But for those who are saying she's straight, I'm like, where's the evidence? Or that she's cisgendered, and I'm like, where's the evidence of that? Like, there's not evidence of that. So it's like, sure, there's not evidence of one thing, but there's also not evidence of another thing, to where I don't think you can make a definitive statement. And whether or not they actually roll with it and explicitly say it in the next one that she is or is not trans, I still think the overall journey she goes on is very parallel to that of a trans youth journey. So I hope I'm not just like pulling for, grasping for straws here. I hope I actually am onto something. And I hope everyone like thinks it's a good enough pick that they don't veto it. But I think it's a very, a very interesting story, especially looking at it from her perspective, not just Miles's story, because Miles is not, his isn't a queer story, but hers is, and just the idea.
I would disagree. I would say there is something to be said about Miles. I'm not going to go into specifics. I don't want to spoil, but when they refer to him as an anomaly, I think you could read that as like saying there's no one else like you. I think there's a reading there. Like it might not be the first thing you think of, but I think you could make that argument.
Yeah, and the first thing, obviously, when they announced the first movie years ago, was the fact that he was a black Spider-Man. But I think, yeah, now that you see the second film, where it's kind of like more like, okay, it's accepted that the fandom has accepted that. Now, this deeper layer, we could get into the more of the queer territories and queer themes. I just think there's so much to chew on here, and I love this film. It's so new, but I was like, wow, when I was reading up about like just the different parallels and Gwen's storyline, I was like, wow, this is like really, really, really good, in more ways than I thought. So. And it's the last pick of the draft, so I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's a fun one. It's a recent one, and it's got themes there that fit to where the other 4 I picked are more explicit. But
Yeah, I did want to add some more onto that. Just
yeah, go for it.
don't get me started on this film. I love it
Because I know
so
you
much.
love it, so I was like, okay, I was gonna wait to see if you picked it. I was saving it for last because I was like, if Karly,
No, I wasn't gonna pick it, but I have seen it 4 times in theaters. I was just gonna see it 2 times, but then someone mentioned a quote from it, and I was like, I need to see it again. And then I found out,
quote, and you had to go back. Wow.
and then I found out my friend had not seen it, and I knew she wouldn't see it in the theater if I didn't see it with her. So I was like, well, I guess I just have to see it a 4th time.
What a shame.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I have to see it again. Sorry. It's just such a beautiful film, and I do definitely get bisexual vibes both from Miles and Gwen. Like, you know, that's just me. I just like I see them. I'm like, they could both be bi. I could see either of them. Yeah, I could see that. They give me those vibes. It's oh god, it's just such a good film, and like the messaging and themes are so deep that I think it makes a lot of sense to be able to get a queer reading from it. And
yeah. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I could talk for another hour about it, but that wouldn't be about the gay stuff. That'd just be about my love for the film.
Yeah, about the gay stuff though, like superhero films in general, I feel going back to even like X-Men, you know, there's that scene in X2 where like the kid's basically outing himself as a superhero to his parents. He's like, I have these powers, and it mirrors exactly what you would see in like a normal non-superhero film of a person coming out to their parents. You know, it's like, I think superhero films are much queerer than people give it credit for, because it's a lot about identity and holding back a secret identity, and kind of when you're ready to reveal that to the world. And obviously Iron Man kind of broke that for the MCU to where it's everyone's kind of out and about, but a lot of the superhero movies, like the Spider-Man movies, X-Men movies, was all about how they conceal it in the real world, and that's very queer themes. So I'm happy to have this here. Any other thoughts on Spider-Verse or just superhero movies and gayness in superhero movies in general? Daniel? Yeah.
Superhero movies and sci-fi movies are really good for queer allegories. I love that people are reading trans themes into Gwen. As someone that has tried for about 4 or 5 days to find any ace character ever, and being like, that doesn't count, that's cool, but it's a TV show. And it's just like, who's left? And it's Elsa and Sherlock Holmes. And I'm like, cool. Thanks, guys.
Jughead. I mean, I guess.
Oh, yeah, Jughead. Fuck,
Yeah.
I forgot about Jughead. Jughead. Love Jughead. I love Jughead.
It's interesting, too, because all of Gwen's scenes, too, have, if you watch it back, have blue and pink color schemes going on. So it's
That's
all
a color theme.
Yeah, it's the color theme, but it's also the trans color themes too. So it's like it's much more in your face than you'd think on a first glance. But
if you want an interesting video about color theory, look up The Rise of Bi-Lighting.
Nice, I'll definitely do that.
I really like this movie, and I could totally see the queer themes and the trans themes. I think it's interesting that they paint that they paint Mr. Stacy, or that they make Mr. Stacy the one, or Officer Stacy, whatever, Captain Stacy, I guess. They make him the the thing that violently opposes it a little bit. Like, I think that and then I don't know. I'm having trouble forming my words here, my thoughts.
You're good.
Anyway, I like it. I think that one thing that's funny about that movie is that the gymnastics they did to make us not shout a cab at Officer Stacy and both Miles and Gwen's dad. Specific lines in the movie, but I think it's very interesting, and I really Yeah, I'm gonna look more into this, and I'm going to watch it again, and then I'll get back to you and let you know if I veto this. But I don't.
Well,
veto it.
yeah, I'm sure we'll have many times to talk about it, just between Oscar talk and next drafts and future drafts and all that. So, Chris, any thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't.
I hope I
need
didn't spoil
to.
anything for you. It's a general. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's been everywhere, and I will be honest. For me, it's really hard to like spoil, like especially like a superhero movie. I treat those kind of not to talk bad on them, but I treat them more like roller coaster rides. Like they're just fun. I don't know. Like,
All right, Scorsese.
well, no, I'm not even trying to be that way, but I do.
I know what
Like,
you mean.
it's like, yeah,
Like you're not in it for the big reveals and shit. You're in it from
right. I'm in it just because I know it's gonna be
thrills.
fun. Yeah,
Right, exactly. Cool. So there you have it. Wow. We'll get into honorable mentions in a sec, but I want to read these draft boards because we created some very diverse and really just awesome draft boards. Each person I think has a movie that I haven't seen, so I'm very excited to like go back and watch. And I'm sure the same can be said about most of us. All right, Matt's draft board. Here we go. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Love, Simon, The Birdcage, Dog Day Afternoon, and Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
That's a nice list.
It is. It's a dope ass list.
It's a dope ass list.
Chris's list, But I'm a Cheerleader, Paris is Burning, Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, Skinamarink, and Hellraiser 2022. Daniel's Interview with the Vampire, Battle of the Sexes, The Watermelon Woman, Elisa and Marcella, and The Fandom. And then Karly's Moonlight, The Favorite, The Half of It, The Handmaiden, Professor Marston, and The Wonder Women.
A lot of
Dyl-
these in there.
I know you had a lot of these.
Yeah, a lot of these. Dylan, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, Jennifer's Body, Bound, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So there you go. I don't know who's gonna win this. I think it's gonna be a tight one, especially because it is such a personal one. You know, like this is all what we interpret as queer cinema, but also like what we're most drawn to with queer cinema because it's such a wide spanning thing. So I mean, I'll say really quickly, but there's so many films to bring up, so I'll just go around the docket. Matt, you're gonna start us off with some honorable mentions. I know it's a tough task because there's
I've got so many. And there's a few that I want to say brief things on. I obviously the Cage aux Folles. I've got that. I'm gonna leave some of these for Karly because I know she'll want to talk about them. Bros was one of my favorite movies last year. I think it's hilarious. I just love that movie. I've watched it a few times. It's just it really captures my imagination. I really enjoy it. Other People on Netflix. If you guys haven't seen that, it's really good. It's written by former head writer of SNL.
Is Molly Shannon in that?
Molly Shannon does her best work ever in that movie, in my opinion. Jesse Plemons and Molly Shannon, in my opinion, do their best work in this movie.
Wow,
the movie's fine. It's good. It's a really good movie. But it's basically it's partially autobiographical for the writer because it's about his being gay and his mom has been diagnosed with cancer and his dad's really conservative, and so that's the basic premise. And I really enjoyed it. Anyway.
Cool.
Carol is very good movie. Pain and Glory, which came out in 2019. 2019 had probably the best slate of international films in a very long time. Pain and Glory, Almodovar, his that's also partially autobiographical as well. It's very good. Tangerine is a movie that I really enjoyed. It might honestly, this movie might be higher if they had subtitled the Armenian portions, and I knew it was going on during those portions of the movie, which I get is a creative choice, and I'm fine with it. I just wish they would have done
filmed entirely on an iPhone.
Yes. Gods and Monsters, in my opinion, Brendan Fraser's best performance. A Fantastic Woman is a really great trans story. Boys Don't Cry, the Brenda Tina story. It's very good. Bad Education, another Almodovar movie. Mysterious Skin, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's very good. It's such a hard watch, but it's very, very good. If you haven't seen it, it's very good. The Perfection, which is a movie that's on Netflix. It stars Brian Williams' daughter. What's her name?
Allison
Williams. it is weird. It's very good. Did you ever watch that, Chris? I recommended it to you.
I loved it.
It's so good and
Charleston
it's
Williams
weird,
fan.
and I really enjoy that movie. Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Yes.
Cabaret.
Yes.
Listen, Liza Minnelli is unmatched. No one will ever be as good as Liza Minnelli in the history of ever. Rent. I love the movie version of Rent. Yeah, it's not as good as the play, but I think it's about as good as you can do with a movie adaptation of Rent.
It's on my list too.
I really enjoy it. The Laramie Project is one that I want to talk about real quick. If you guys have never seen it, it's based on a stage play, which is real interviews by people from Laramie, Wyoming, where Matthew Shepard was killed, and his how his town rallied together to protect his family and how they basically how they responded to that tragedy. But it's recreated by actors playing those roles, and it's a very, very good movie, and I really, really love it.
Cool.
And that's my honorable mentions.
Nice. All right, Chris, any honorable mentions from you?
Transamerica from 2005.
That was on my list too.
Yeah, I missed the mark just because it's a cis actress playing a trans woman in Felicity Huffman. So
she's very good in it.
She is great. I love that movie. Like,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. LIE, Long Island Expressway, which really good. Paul Dano, great. Freaky, because Christopher Landon, gay director. Hairspray, because obviously. Kind of a deep cut, I think, but Holiday Heart from 2000. It's Ving Rhames as a drag queen who takes in Alfre Woodard as a like struggling with addiction. Oh, it's the best hood movie ever. Like it would come on BT all.
What was it called?
Holiday Heart.
Just the way you said Ving Rhames drag queen, and Matt just kind of just a slow back up. Like, it's
so good.
That's great.
More documentary, Life and Death of Marsha P. Johnson, because obviously with Pride, we kind of have to think about how we would not have a Pride if it weren't for specifically, trans women, but her. Let's see. This French movie that I watched earlier this month called, English, it's Knife Plus Heart, or A Knife and Heart. But it's kind of like a giallo Italian horror by way of France.
Wow.
Very good. I just can't.
I've heard of that. I wanted to see it. I haven't watched it though.
Oh, it's really good. Kind of long, but really good. Slumber Party Massacre, because lesbian director. And it's kind of inverting the kind of male gaze that happens with women in horror. So yeah, that's my list. Honorable mentions.
Nice. Daniel, any honorable mentions for you?
Bride of Frankenstein was directed by a gay director, and also Whitney Seibold has a brilliant bit about how gay that movie is. Blue from 1993 is the other movie about AIDS that you've never heard of.
Is that the one where it's just a blue screen and it's just audio?
It's just a blue screen, and it's a series of and it's the director talking about his experiences going blind due to AIDS and all the people he lost. I didn't bring it up because it's sad, and I decided not to. Fight Club, Tyler Durden is secretly a gay guy that cries himself to sleep at night. Take that, fucking masculine assholes. Kiss of the Spider Woman, and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and every Sherlock Holmes movie, especially Empire of Corpses, where Watson has a gay boyfriend zombie.
Gay boyfriend zombie. Wow.
But I didn't put that on my list because that's my reading of it. And as an ace person that keeps getting shit with my best friend, I just decided not to.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's great. Right. But read this book. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is about a bisexual actress, and it covers the history of Hollywood and how being queer makes it very difficult for her, and how she would probably be happier if they just lived and they're like, oh, they were great roommates.
Wow. I'm surprised they haven't made that a movie yet, because I've seen like all my friends have been reading that. So
right, rumors have said that it's been in production forever, and it's about Hollywood. So this is definitely like an Oscar bait movie. I can imagine Meryl Streep playing Evelyn Hugo.
Oh man, that'd be so good. All
Oh my
right,
God.
Karly, any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I just want a second. That's one of my favorite books. Like, it's so good. Like, oh my God. Like, written for me, I think, because I love it so much. But yes, I have a lot of honorable mentions. So first, Booksmart. We talked about that in the women draft a little bit, but definitely a great one. Disobedience. That one's about an Orthodox Jewish community. Rachel Weisz, great at being gay again. Like, she's great at playing gay women. And Rachel McAdams is also really good in that as well. There's the Miseducation of Cameron Post. It's like, but I'm a cheerleader, only depressing. There's not really comedy in it at all, but I really like that one. Shiva Baby, which is really good. The only reason that's lower is because, one, I picked it already last month, and two, the gay part's like slightly, it's not as in the focus as other stuff. It's been a while since I've watched this one, but Rafiki is really good. I think it's about two women in like Africa or one of those further away places, and they have this relationship, and like it's frowned upon, but I really like that. A movie I hinted at earlier, Saving Face. That's by the director of The Half of It. It's really interesting. It's about this gay woman who her mom is pregnant and like living with her, and she's like trying to have this relationship with this other girl, and it's very sweet and comedic and interesting, and I really liked it. Another one, slightly more recent one, was Pariah. That one I really liked. It focuses a lot more just on her gay discovery of her sexuality than anything else, but I really liked that one. A documentary I love is Disclosure. It just talks about like trans representation in media. I believe it's on Netflix, or at least it was when I watched it. But yeah, it's really good. I thought it was really interesting and eye-opening for me. I only have a few more.
Keep going. It's fine. We're good.
So I'm shocked no one has mentioned Call Me by Your Name.
It was on my list.
I'm not the biggest fan of it, just because I don't know. I just didn't love it.
The Army Hammer of it all has kind of made it worse, in my opinion. But
yes, but very beautiful.
That movie also has a great final shot that kind of tells the whole story in it.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Another one that I know Dyl loves, The Fallout.
Yes,
that was I love that one with your girl Jenna Ortega. And it's not really one movie, but the Fear Street trilogy as a whole. I'm a big horror fan, so I love that. I love how you have that gay relationship throughout it, and it's awesome. If I had to pick just one, I'd probably just pick the third one, but honorable mentions, I can list the whole trilogy. So
you mentioned all of them that I left for you. The ones where I was like, I want Karly to have some of these. You got them all.
I'm going to finish out with some of mine.
I got one more.
Go.
The Way He Looks. It's about a blind boy who like starts this relationship with this other boy, and like he has this friendship with this other girl, and it's just kind of their dynamic and all that. And I always love when you can see like disability intersect with queerness, because I think there's a lot there.
Cool.
But that's it.
Nice. I'll rattle off some that I don't need to explain just because people know why it's great. One that's just too sad, and I think because there's two straight actors, I didn't want to bring it up. Brokeback Mountain, but that's like a pretty self-explanatory one. Yeah. The Matrix, but I went with Bound just because I like it more. But The Matrix, not just who made it, but the themes of it. The Kids Are All Right, really interesting queer story, and the fact that it's like, I'm not going to go on and on. It's a great movie. Black Swan. It was either Black Swan or Jennifer's Body, but I have more fun with Jennifer's Body, so I went with Jennifer's Body.
How did I forget about Black Swan?
Titan, which I almost picked, but it was on the women draft. I picked it, so I wasn't going to pick it again. Rocket Man, great biopic of a great gay figure. A small film from the 90s called The Incredible True Story or True Adventure of Two Girls in Love. Really underrated, really underseen 90s film. Very low budget, but really good. Really relatable scenes in that. Encanto, it's very gay. I know it doesn't explicitly say it, but it's all about acceptance of who
Disney
you are.
never explicitly says it.
Disney will never explicitly say it, but I mean, come on, like, yeah, all the sisters evoke themes of gayness in their stories. This is not a movie, but it's probably the best piece of gay media I've ever seen, which is Angels in America, the play / miniseries. It's amazing. And then the last one I wanted to bring out is a movie that hasn't come out yet, but I did see it at Sundance. It's called Slow, which is about, Daniel, you're going to love this. It's about an asexual relationship where the guy is asexual.
You guys carry on.
It's called Slow. The guy is asexual, the girl is not, but it's about how they navigate their relationship and how they kind of try to find compromise in the relationship with him being asexual and her not. It's a Lithuanian film, I believe, which is also cool because like Lithuania represent. So that is my honorable mention. So that's our Pride draft.
Wait,
people.
I'm surprised you
Yes.
didn't mention Tar.
Oh yeah,
Or
Tar.
Titan.
I said Titan.
No, he said
but
Titan.
I
Did you?
didn't
Oh, I
pick
didn't
it-
hear that
I didn't
one.
pick it because of the women's draft.
Oh,
'cause I
that's
picked
right.
that.
That's right. You said.
But I'll bring it up again because it's amazing. Titan, great movie about gender identity, so good. But like, yeah, Tar is great too. It's just, you know, it's not the most pleasant depiction of queerness. She's kind of
There's one that's a short film. It's on YouTube. It's called In a Heartbeat.
yes, it's like 4 minutes long, but it's
Oh, I
so
love
good. Yeah,
that.
it's really cute, really good movie. So there you have it.
All
Really
the Beauty and the
quickly-
Bloodshed. I forgot about that one. It's a doc. It was one. It was my kid is crying right as
You're
I'm
good.
trying
It's
to
okay.
talk. It was one of my favorite documentaries from last year. And I really love it. So
Cool. Well, Matt, we'll stick with you just to plug yourself and wherever they can find you online.
you can find me right here on the Dyl Pickle Movie Network on Framewreck. We have actually 2 episodes coming out this week. One of them is our Pride Month, and another one is actually a new type of Framewreck episode. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And you can find me on whatever websites at Mattman, MattManXii.
Cool. Chris, anything to plug? Anywhere they can find you?
I'm just on Twitter. I tweet there every now and then, just at Cellar Door Floor. That's also my Letterboxd, even though I forget to log my movies all the time. So
It's okay. I'm behind too. I got to catch up. And Chris will also be on our Framewreck Pride episode about Ben and Arthur, which will be coming out soon, which is very
excited.
interesting. I'm surprised you didn't pick it, Chris. Actually, I'm not. I haven't seen it
Right.
yet, so I don't know if it's really good or really bad or so bad it's good. I'm watching it tonight after this draft for tomorrow. Daniel, where can I find you?
You can't leave me alone.
All right.
But I do have a Letterboxd if you guys would want to watch that. It's Ace Fairy Trash.
Ace Furry Trash. Love it. Carly, where can they find you?
You can find me here. You better find me on a future episode of Picture This at some point, Dale. That's
Yes,
where they can find me.
I know for sure you will be on a very specific episode, maybe for the first pick of your draft, possibly. You know, we need you to represent all the jazz enthusiasts who also love La La Land. You know what I mean? So yes, we'll have you on for that. And check out Carly next month, because next month we're doing a draft that she will be on. Not going to say what it is yet, people. We'll let you know when that comes. But it has to do with a specific movie hitting theaters very soon. Life in Plastic. It's fantastic. You can find me at the Dyl Pickle Movie Network or the Dyl Pickle Podcast, Dylan_Dazo at Twitter and or Letterboxd. And yeah, thanks for watching. This is an awesome panel. It was an honor to be amongst 4 voices who are very knowledgeable about queer cinema. I've built such a great watch list from doing this, and thank you all for letting me join the party, the queer party, and be the ally today. This is a lot of fun. And
You're a
thanks to
token
everyone.
straight guy.
Token straight guy, that's right. Check out the poll. The poll is now up, so vote for your favorite. If note for the 5 of us, if we want to vote, we cannot vote for our own. That's our only rule. But vote for everyone else's. And I did say I'd bring it up last month. Matt, you did win the Scream draft, so you did win. I will say, disclaimer, you did tie with Chad, but you did win. So Chad did win. You were right, but you also won. So Matt, you won that Scream draft, and maybe you'll win this one. Who knows? We'll find out very shortly. All right, thanks everyone for watching. See you next time.